Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
100%. Ready to go. It's been a long time coming, and I just can't wait to be out there.
That's why we play football in the SEC, trying to go get it done.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. All right, Obi, I want you to guess. We're going to have a piece of hardware. Maybe not on this table because I like it too much to put stuff on it, but something very fancy on this table tomorrow during the show at some point. What do you think it's going to be?
A bust of Billy Lucci.
We're working on that, but no. And by the way, we should talk about that tweet that TexAgs sent out. I have some issues with our social media staff, but we'll talk about that in a minute. No, we're going to have the national championship trophy here on this desk or somewhere in this vicinity. The new era of college football has arrived, so while you're celebrating the new conferences, new playoff formats, and the all-new season of Fansville, grab some ice cold Dr. Pepper. You can do that this Friday and get your picture taken with the national championship trophy presented by Dr. Pepper. The trophy will be at the College Station Walmart from 12 to 2 and the Bryan Walmart on Briarcrest from 3 to 5. College football is a Pepper thing, but we'll have it right here on this program. So there you go.
All right. Do you have any Dr. Pepper?
I mean, we got some upstairs.
Okay.
I'll have somebody bring you some. I like that shirt on you, by the way.
Thank you. TexAgs, nice fishing shirt.
You're Olin Buchanan.
I am.
You're a Heisman Trophy voter. I am. You have frosted tips according to the message boards.
I don't.
And I'm David Nuño.
I have gray, if that counts.
People asked if you had some frosted tips. I'm David Nuño. It is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, I want you to tell me who's going to have a sneaky, really good weekend. Like, A&M player-wise. Like, we'll bank on stuff tomorrow. But today, somebody like that people aren't thinking about that you think, I think this dude's going to have a good game. Because I got an idea.
Well, sneaky, huh? Because
like somebody like, oh, wow, he really mattered in this game. Like, he might lead the team in a certain category. He might just have a play you're like, where did that come from?
Well, but if I say Bryce Anderson, that wouldn't be sneaky, would it?
It can be sneaky.
Okay.
I mean,
sneaky Bryce Anderson.
Look, this is not the 92 Dream Team, the greatest team of all time. This is an A&M football team that we're hoping can claw their way into a playoff conversation.
Here's who I hope has a sneaky good game.
Who's that?
But I don't know who he is. The center.
I see what you're doing there.
Because now you don't get the stats and things like that, but if he's having a sneaky good game, then that means they're probably doing a lot toward neutralizing Howard Cross III.
I like the way you think. Mine is along those lines. No, it's not along those lines, but you can. This is a reason for it. I'm saying Amari Daniels.
Okay.
And I might be way off base here because I think Le'Veon's going to be. To me, Le'Veon is not a sneaky pick. Le'Veon is like, I know it's hard to run on this Notre Dame team, right?
That's what some say.
That's what some say. I've done a little bit of research and conversations, and I don't know if they're sold on their edge. Okay? I don't know if they are sold on their edge, and I think that's where Amari Daniels can certainly shine. Off tackle, going wide, catching the ball out of the backfield. I think he can sneaky have a really good game.
Well, yeah, I hope so. When you say their edge, are we talking about the kid from Duke that transferred in?
Very good.
Oben,
yeah, who's very good, yes. He's very good. But is he fast enough on the end? And there's another gentleman on their defensive line that played a little bit last year. I'm going to get you his name right here. I have it written down. I'm sorry. It is Botello, who played towards the end at the edge. He doesn't necessarily have a lot of speed. He's very good, but he doesn't have a lot of speed. So I'm wondering, if you're going to run the ball on Notre Dame, obviously in the middle is going to be difficult. Hopefully it can be done. where you're going to have more of your success is off tackle and around the edge?
If you say so. I have to admit I haven't broken them down that much. I probably should have. I probably should have looked at the games last year where Louisville, Clemson, even Duke.
NC State, they ran on them.
Teams that had running success, and I probably should have looked and see where they had that running success. By the way, do any of those teams have like difference-making running backs?
Not that pops to my head.
No. Yeah. So.
But I could see Amari having, and Le'Veon I think is going to have a nice game, but a very nice game. But sneaky good, I see Amari Daniels being in that sneaky good category.
Could be. Just hold on to the football, and if he gets a crease, we've seen what he can do with it.
Yep. Hey, so we're going to have Armen Keteyian on with us at 8:20, so we want to hit everything on time today. Armen Keteyian, you've probably seen him on HBO Real Sports in the past, CBS. He was on the 60 Minute Sports that they used to have. So he's been all over the place. We'll have him. He's got a new book that's coming out. But before we do that, let's do our Heisman Watch, brought to you by the Shurtleff Law Firm. They are a friend of ours. Hunter's a good friend of ours and of this company. We trust them with all of our legal needs. Call Shurtleff Law today when you need a lawyer for your business or your personal issues. Obi, you have a list out. Let's kind of go through your list, and we'll start off with your number 5 guy, Ollie Gordon II from Oklahoma State.
You know, Ollie Gordon led the nation in rushing yards last year and barely played the first 3 games. Now they're going to build their whole offense around him as they did most of last year. We saw how good he is in the bowl game. He's an explosive guy.
He was grumpy that game.
What's that?
He was a little grumpy that game.
But he's an explosive guy. And by the way, he's going to be playing a bunch of teams that, they'll probably be better, but last year struggled in run defense. So I think Ollie Gordon, if he's healthy, is a 2,000-plus yard back.
Yeah, I mean, he is so solid. Let's go to the number 4 one, a guy that's going to put up some numbers, and some of those numbers may go to Evan Stewart.
But Dylan Gabriel, he's exceeded 3,000 yards and thrown for at least 25 touchdowns already in 4 seasons at 2 different places, at Central Florida and at Oklahoma. Oregon's offense is expected to be explosive again. I just think the only pause I have is the defenses they're playing are going to be bigger, or bigger and better this year.
Much better defenses, yeah. And by the way, I had that question for all these Pac-12 quarterbacks that are either in a new conference or in a new surrounding.
Right.
Cam Ward, as good as he is, I was listening to AT this morning. He had his breakdown. Cam Ward's had 44 fumbles at Washington.
44?
Now, he hasn't lost
Washington State?
Yeah, Washington State, excuse me. He hasn't lost all of them.
That's a dramatic.
That's a lot.
That's crazy.
In 4 years.
All right. Well, maybe he's got better talent around him. Everybody says they do it.
Right.
Number 3,
I know. He's got to be on the list right now.
I believe in giving credit where credit is due. Best thing to me about Quinn Ewers is his name, but, he's good. He's passed for almost 3,500 yards last year, had 22 touchdowns. Now, the competition is going to be stronger in the SEC, and quite frankly, I wonder about the quality of his receivers. I'm not saying that they're not good, but I wonder if they're as good as what he had last year. But he's got a really good offensive line to protect him. Look, that game next week against Michigan's probably going to, even though it's early, going to go a long way toward determining his Heisman candidacy.
By the way, your son's name is Quinn.
Yeah.
And did you know that Christian, my son's middle name, is Quinn?
I didn't know that.
There you go. The more you know.
Christian Quinn.
All right, number 2.
That's CQ.
CQN.
Which means correct. CQ.
He often is.
Yes. Number 2, I got Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback. Always say if you're the quarterback of a national championship contender, you are a Heisman Trophy candidate.
By default.
Yeah, almost 4,000 yards passing last year, 24 touchdowns. Still has a lot of talent around him. Should have a outstanding offensive line, 4 starters back. But you know what? He's got to prove he can be as productive without
Brock Bowers,
or Ladd McConkey.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but I think George will be there, so he'll be highly considered. And is this number 1 guy? Is that a surprise to you?
That to me is a surprise. I don't think I've read him as the number 1 candidate around the country, so I'm glad you put it that way.
Well, look at it this way. Jackson Dart of Ole Miss, he's passed for 3,364 yards and 23 touchdowns last season, and they're projected to be even better this year. He's got Trey Harris back to catch passes for him. And you know what's really important with this? He's got Lane Kiffin calling plays for him.
He does. You know, Jackson Dart's an interesting person because I see similarities with Riley Leonard, not the pretty ball. I don't think Riley throws a ball as similar to Jackson Dart. But do you remember at Kyle Field a couple years ago, the reason Ole Miss won that game when Conner made his first start was because of third down breakdowns. There was one in the end zone where it looked like a safety, and he got a first down, and he just ran over A&M. If Riley Leonard's able to run on this defense, that's gonna be how they win the game.
Well, first of all, here I go. See that dead horse there? I'm going to beat it again. First of all, this is a Jay Bateman, Mike Elko defense. So we're going to be prepared for that. It's not going to be a DJ Durkin defense that he doesn't understand that the guy he's facing is a really good runner. And so I'm going to go all out without a spy. A&M will be prepared for Riley Leonard's ability to run, unlike A&M was for Jackson Dart 2 years ago.
Shall we go around the room and say hi to the people?
Let's do that.
By the way, this is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of the mornings by going to texags.com/coffee. Let's go behind the glass. We say hi to the Nick Savage. Nick, good morning.
Good morning, y'all. How's it going? Oh, nothing much. Going smoother, going better.
You look happier today.
Really?
Yeah.
It's going to be a long day, but when isn't, it a long day during football season? But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Like I mentioned before, just coming into this game, the closer it gets, the more confident I feel. I know, David, you probably feel the same way. This year, Nuño, right?
Right now, Nuño.
Right now,
sorry.
Right now.
Right now.
The
Nuño.
baseball team made me feel right now.
Yeah, fair enough. But, I'm tired of talking about it. I just like everyone else, just like y'all, I'm so ready to see some action in Kyle Field.
What was it? Our buddy Dave and Edmund said the day after tomorrow. Isn't there a movie called that?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
I think it's about like the end of the world or something.
Yeah, it was going to be the end of Notre Dame season.
Yeah.
They got a long season.
They have 11 games at least. After that.
It's not going to end. It's not.
No.
Even if they win or lose, they still got to play the games.
Yes.
Same for A&M. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Juan Marco Palomo. Good morning, buddy.
Guys, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
It's great to see you guys.
Great.
I can see.
Actually, I have to
see you guys.
have blocked by a wall.
Oh yeah, no.
What's going on with you, buddy?
Well, I like to get straight into it. On Monday, I don't know if you guys saw this. The 12th Man Foundation reported 9,000 tickets were pulled within the first 3 hours of ticket pull. 37,000 sports passes were sold out in June.
Right.
37,000. 9,000 tickets in the first 3 hours. I think the 12th Man is ready for Saturday.
They are ready. I think I saw Coach Elko say yesterday he expects 106,000, 107,000 people at the game.
I expect 110.
Wait, let's go for 110.
Wait. I don't understand how the ticket pool works. So they had 37 student passes sold and 9,000 pulled in 3 hours, and that sounds really impressive, but I really don't know what that means, not having been a student here. But now that I have a niece who's attending Texas A&M, I need to know these things.
Well, I think I got an idea. You should go to the next ticket pool and just hang out there, man on the street interviews, and just kind of get to know the situation. That's what I think.
All I want to know is an explanation of what that means. That's all I'm looking for.
You're not going to get it from me.
Well, hey, it's really fun. I know a lot of my friends were camping out last week. I know, just going out there pulling tickets.
We're going to have like 9,000 Palomos here this weekend, right?
Gosh,
The whole family's coming from everywhere.
Is everybody coming this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fernando's flying down tonight. So.
All right.
Yeah.
One from Miami, one from Connecticut, one from El Salvador.
Yep.
It's a Palomo invasion.
Yeah, and he's taking over our show too.
Yeah, look at him.
Let's get one more report in.
Yeah, so I just want to let you guys know the last time Notre Dame played at Kyle Field was in 2001. We beat them 24-3. The attendance record for that game was 87,206, the largest crowd at the time in Texas.
Okay, that's a different Kyle Field.
Different Kyle Field, definitely, but for sure, they won't know what's coming when 108,000 people come here.
More people at Kyle Field for this game or George Strait?
George Strait is the configuration's different.
But wasn't it still like 110?
Yeah, but didn't you have fans on the field?
Yeah,
that's how they did it.
I would say, but wasn't it still like 110? Maybe I already forgot the actual number.
Whatever is 110. Whatever the number is,
It was 110.9, I think, is the number. But yeah, they had people all around the, all around the stage and up in the standing room. They were everywhere. No, I got married that day, so I didn't get invited either, David.
Well, I was out of town, unfortunately. I did want to go. All right, we'll hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Live, we're going to talk to Armen Keteyian. He's got a new book, and he talks about Jimbo quite a bit, by the way.
I was seeing that.
Talks about Nick Saban, just the changes in college football. We'll talk to him about that here in a moment. But right now, Prize Picks, by the way, they're sponsoring the Fan Show, and they've got some cool things that we're going to be doing inside of the Fan Show and around TexAgs Live. But they're the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports DFS platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll. They are so good. So I'm going to start playing this week. I've got Matthew Dawson teaching me the ropes. He's going to help me, and I'm going to make money. That's the rule. I don't usually do these kind of things. I'm all in on Prize Picks, and we hope you do it too. Go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and then use our code TexAgs, and you'll get a guaranteed $50. So why wouldn't you do it? Sign up right now as you're listening. $50 to play in $5 lineups. It is so good. They have weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, and they also offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. All right, it is prizepicks.com/TexAgs. The code is TexAgs. Check it out. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Super excited about our next guest. Huge fan of his work. I've watched him everywhere. CBS, HBO, you name it. He's just a legend in the sports journalism area. Co-author of the new book, The Price, What It Takes to Win in College Football. Our guest on the Boss Firearms Hotline is Armen Keteyian. Armen, good morning. How you doing, man?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
So, look, I'm very interested in the book for several reasons, college football, and you're writing it with John Talty. But I saw the Jimbo stuff, and I've got to ask, I mean, that's where I'm going to start things off with.
Yeah.
You have some behind-the-scenes reporting of the rise and fall of Jimbo. What can you share with us that maybe we don't know?
Well, I think, John, that's really John Talty's chapter. And I have to be honest with you, the first time I read it, I was just fascinated because I'm certainly aware of what was happening in College Station, but I really didn't understand the history of Jimbo. And you mentioned it, it's so true. It's kind of a psychological profile, you know, and he weighs it against, it's called The Rise and Fall of Jimbo Fisher, and he weighs it against Jimbo's relationship with Nick and his decision to come to Tuscaloosa. But it's really, I think, about arrogance and stubbornness and ego. I think those three words really filter through the entire chapter. And, you know, how Jimbo wanted all the same facilities that Nick had, both at Florida State and then when he came to A&M. And, you know, there's this great helicopter story where he basically says to the president of Florida State at the time, I want a damn helicopter, you know, because I want to be able to get around and do all the recruiting that Nick was doing. And I think it was how Jimbo changed after Florida State won the title in 2013 and became more demanding and more egotistical and more arrogant. And I think, obviously, the whole NIL episode, the whole sliced bread thing that you guys I know have talked ad nauseum. But what's interesting to me was there's a chapter in the book called Oppenheimer, and it basically is about the O'Bannon lawsuit and with Sonny Vaccaro and how Ed O'Bannon agreed to come forward and be the lead plaintiff in that case, which obviously led to the NIL. But if you talk around the college football world, at the epicenter of NIL, as you well know, was there in College Station with A&M. And what people said to us was, look, they had a head coach who wanted to win a national championship. You had an athletic director at the time, Russ Bjork, who's now obviously at Ohio State, who was more than willing to buy into that philosophy. You have one of the top booster networks in the country. You have some of the finest facilities in the country. You had all the elements. And then that first class, two things happened. Whether it was 30 million or whether it was 10 million, whatever the number was, it set off sort of an atomic bomb within the college football hierarchy. It was like, whoa, look what A&M's doing. They've got everything that they need in order to win a national championship. It's game on for us now. So all the other power programs were like, well, if they can do it down in College Station, it's battle stations for us. So whether it was Oregon and Division Street or John Ruiz in Miami or what people were trying to do in Tennessee, certainly now Ohio State, that was the beginning really of this kind of atomic bomb that went off in terms of NIL. And what the lessons that were learned there, as you guys well know, the culture and the chemistry of the football team changed because of the money that came in. And that was a warning shot and a lesson that a lot of other coaches around the country were learning in real time as Jimbo Fisher was learning at A&M. So, I mean, there's a lot there. But to me, it's always been, you know, we use these kinds of profiles and the reporting in the book to tell a bigger picture, which is really the absolute chaos that's going on in college football. And, you know, the book is called The Price for a reason. It's not just the financial implications and the billions of dollars that are pouring in. It's also about the psychological and the emotional and the physical toll that's being taken on everybody. And I'm talking from college presidents to athletic directors to conference commissioners to head coaches to coaching staffs to compliance people. Everybody is just battered right now, exhausted from NIL, the portal, realignment, you name it. So that's what John and I tried to do, was to hop on this speeding train that was changing directions almost every day and give people a real idea of what the price is right now to be involved in college football.
You know, Armen, Olin Buchanan here. You talk about, and obviously the book refers to all these things that have happened that kind of turned college football on its head. How much of the blame of this should be pointed at, like Mark Emmert and the NCAA, for never addressing some of the issues that were obviously boiling to the surface?
That's a really good point. And I think you have to go back really to the days of Walter Byers, you know, the original sort of mega president of the NCAA, he ran the NCAA like a third world despot for 36 years. And he created the term student athlete for no other reason than as a ruse, concerned over whether there would be workers' compensation lawsuits if there were a death or serious injury on the field. So the original lie about amateurism and student athlete dates back to the days in the 50s and Walter Byers. But you're absolutely right. It was delay and denial by the NCAA in lawsuit and potential lawsuits time after time after time after time, even when lower courts leading up to the big Supreme Court decision in July of 2021 were calling the NCAA a classic cartel in violation of the Antitrust Act, the Sherman Antitrust Act, and illegally suppressing workers' wages. I mean, we could spend all day here talking about it, but the buildup from O'Bannon to the Alston case to the House case, which eventually became the Supreme Court case, a unanimous 9-0 ruling by a Supreme Court that rarely, if ever, agreed on anything unanimously, that opened the door to NIL. And you can lay the blame on one NCAA president after another for failing to see the future and share the revenue in some form with the athletes. And what you have now is this brave new world, this wild, wild west, where Charlie Baker, to whose credit, the new president, I think, is the most pragmatic and realistic president the NCAA has had in years, and maybe decades, certainly decades. And he's trying to get a framework in place, but he's running headlong into two things right now, guys: self-interest and wanton greed. And everybody is out for the money right now, or concerned about what's going to happen to their program, and not in the big picture thinking, I think, about the greater good for college football and college sports in general.
Armen, from a journalistic perspective, I feel like some of the blame has to go on a little bit of the media. When I say that, because the sliced bread comment that you made to start off the show, which was fabricated on a message board, became gospel and reality, and spit all around the country. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I think you're absolutely right. Social media right now, certainly you can point to what happened at A&M, but you can also point to what happened at Michigan, where the message boards were blaming Ryan Day and his brother, who was a criminal investigator, for somehow being involved in the whole Connor Stalions sign stealing of presenting that information to the NCAA. And I've looked at all that. We have 3 big chapters on Michigan and Jim Harbaugh's battle with the NCAA. And there's no question that the message boards and people that have really no business pretending to be journalists are putting things out there, whether it's for their own self-interest or whether it's to get clicks. But then, you know, legitimate journalists have to deal with that stuff in one form or another. And when I was the chief investigative correspondent at CBS News, you know, some days somebody would come into my office and they would be my bosses and say, well, there's something out on the internet about X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, well, do you know where it came from? No, but we need you to chase this down. And I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time trying to find out whether this person actually knows what they're talking about, A, and B, whether they have any legitimacy to what they're saying and can it be documented. And so, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But we're in that world now, guys. I mean, we're not going to, you know, we're not turning that faucet off. We're going to have to deal with it one way or the other.
Go ahead.
All right. So, hey, Armen, you know, you talked about all these things that NIL has caused and all this. Well, you know, here, of course, we remember Nick Saban being upset about what was going on at A&M and telling his boosters, hey, A&M's buying his whole class, and then Jimbo reacts. So tell us what you can about y'all's books and the delving into that Fisher Saban feud.
They're two alpha dogs, that's for sure. And, I know in the reporting that John did that people told Jimbo time and time again, you got to let it lie. You can't throw fuel on the fire, but that's just not, as you well know, that was not his personality. And Nick regrets saying it the way he said it, but he purposely put that out in that meeting that he was at, that booster meeting. It was a very scripted event where Nick knew all the questions beforehand, and the reporters that were there were told to shut their cameras off, but nobody made it clear to them that they had to leave the room and actually shut their cameras off. So there was audio recording of Nick's comments, and that just lit the fire. I mean, I think in retrospect, Nick regretted those comments because he didn't have any facts to back them up. And I know Jimbo, in fact, I'll read it to you because I got the book right here. It's the last part of, here it is. College football changed on a lie, Fisher protested. I'm going to write a book about it someday. And that's what he felt like in his heart, that was a defining moment, a changing moment in college football when Nick made that remark. And whether Jimbo writes a book or not, who knows? But, to me, it was going to happen sooner or later, whether it happened in College Station or whether it happened in Tennessee. When those floodgates opened with NIL and you took what was often under the table payments to players in order to induce them to come to a school and put them above the table and really in an opaque fashion with no real rules or regulations now. I mean, the NCAA's hands are completely tied when it comes to NIL because of lawsuits that have been filed in the ACC by Tennessee and others. So, it's unfortunate. I think the way we are now journalistically, you could point to what's going on in Colorado with Dion and the head columnist from the Denver Post. Journalism's under siege right now, and rightly so in some ways, because there's people, so-called journalists, who are practicing it that really have no business, writing a single word about anything.
Armen, great stuff. I really do appreciate your time. The book is The Price, What It Takes to Win in College Football's Era of Chaos. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to talk to you again.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it very much.
Armen Keteyian there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Great dialogue and some behind-the-scenes things of his reporting, and John Talty as well. Let's hit a break. When we come back, Stephen McGee will be in studio. OB, brisket Philly. What does that mean to you?
Brisket Philly?
Yeah, I didn't know this was a special today, but on Thursdays at our place.
So it tells me it's like a cheesesteak,
but with brisket.
Cheese, but with brisket.
That sounds delightful and delicious.
Yeah, it does. Man.
Huh. Yeah, I can see you're getting hungry.
That sounds like a trip to 1775 should be in order.
Well, let's just give you the Friday special, just in case today you already had plans.
Which I do. But
you do. You're going to Austin, or is that right? Am I allowed to say that to the world?
Yeah.
Brazos spud, large potato loaded with fixing with your choice of meat and a half chicken.
So a big old Brazos potato, baked potato, which I know you would like.
I love.
But then you're going to stuff it with whatever meat that you want.
Yeah. Or let's just say Saturday on your way to the game, because I like eating. I think you like eating, right?
More than I should.
Raspberry, chipotle, pork belly, burnt ends, smoked barbacoa, tacos. That's all available on Saturdays. Yeah. Ya se acabó el juego. The game's over. Yeah. They're open. This is 1775 if you haven't caught on. It's our place. And you have a romantic relationship with the ribs.
I do. Yeah. We kind of dig each other.
Well, cuddle with the bone after. Saturdays, they're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they are sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m., so you got about an hour and a half to do that. 8203 Raymond Stosser Parkway in College Station, 979-492-6241. We can't wait to see you at 1775 and give you a little taste of what Texas has to offer. 1775txbbq.com. TexAgs Live here, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Quickly, I want to remind you guys, the new era of college football has arrived, so celebrating new conferences, playoff formats, and the all-new season of Fansville. Grab some ice-cold Dr. Pepper. You can do that this Friday and get your picture taken with the National Championship Trophy, presented by Dr. Pepper. The trophy will be at the College Station Walmart from 12 to 2, and the Bryan Walmart on Briarcrest from 3 to 5. College football, it's a Pepper thing. And by the way, we will have that trophy here tomorrow. Somewhere on this desk, Stephen McGee, our QB1, Paragon Financial's best, is with us. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
We're not going to tell the story about our text message thread this week, but it's been funny.
It has been. It's been silent on some ends and good on others.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
One day we'll talk about it, just not yet.
So we're talking about great defensive linemen, and I know we've got a couple on our I think they're going to be great this year. Sue.
Sue.
How do you say his first name?
Domicon, right?
I just say it as fast as I can. The Commandant Sue.
I think it's Domicon.
Domicon. Donkey Kong Sue. It's all like Donkey Kong Sue.
Exactly.
Donkey Kong Sue.
Yeah, I was thinking he's probably one of the most dominant interior defensive linemen I can remember in college football.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely one of them, man. We were talking about how Colt McCoy was going to win the Heisman Trophy. And basically, he had it in his hands, and Sue stole it from him. Now, the accomplice was the 5 guys that were pretending to be offensive linemen for Texas in that Big 12 championship game. And then he still would have won it. He had a receiver late that he threw what should have been a 50, 60-yard touchdown pass. And it would have been, look, after all this, Colt McCoy still makes the big play, right? And so he would have won the Heisman, and the guy dropped it. So.
Can you imagine, though, knowing you're taking the field for 4 quarters and you're a right guard for Texas, and I'm about to have to block Sue for the next 60 minutes of this game?
It may be like that for the left tackle Notre Dame this week.
Exactly.
Yep. I got Nick squirting over my nose for the next 60 minutes, and this is my very first college football game, and I draw this guy that led the Big Ten in sacks and had 2 against Michigan last year.
Yeah,
you got to capitalize
Michigan
on that
with that
advantage.
great offensive line.
Yeah, you got to capitalize on that advantage.
And, by the way, you've got defensive-minded head football coach who I know is probably not going to call the plays, but who has made it very difficult. One of the things I loved whenever he was here in the past, Elko that is, as a defensive coordinator, that he could draw it up. He made life so difficult for offensive linemen, shifting guys, knowing their weaknesses, shifting from an even front to an odd front, and all of a sudden all their calls change, so you have to be on top of it. So with a young offensive line, you'd have to think that they try to play some games up there to confuse
100%.
them and just get easy hits on the quarterback.
Yeah. And you got 2 Shamars. I mean, most of the time I'd go into a game feeling good if I had 1 Shamar.
Tell them your nickname.
2 Shamar. Well, I'm changing my name to Shamolin.
Shamolin, dude, that's genius.
Shamolin Buchanan.
God, it's so good.
Hey, so it's your time at A&M. Did you ever have a young offensive line? Do you remember, or did you have more of a veteran O-line?
We had veteran O-line. I remember, we had my junior year. We had all the veteran guys. I guess my senior year it was pretty young because we had that new group that replaced the class before me. I guess that would have been the 07 class with Elder and Cody Wallace and all those guys. But we were relatively young, but I would say even those guys had 2-3 years under the belt, though they didn't have a lot of substantial playing experience. But man, it's a physical adjustment. I think offensive linemen they get both ends of it. I think the speed compared to what they're used to in high school and the strength. Right? It's not just that Nick Squirton is big. He's fast, and they can bend off the edge. That's a huge adjustment. But then these offensive linemen, people don't realize how smart you have to be to play offensive line, especially center, because you're making all the calls, you're adjusting protections. You got to know what you're talking about. So there's a double adjustment there for those guys that are trying to play early. You have the physical side of it where you're trying to adjust to block guys that are, every week almost you're playing against a guy that could be a first-round pick. Whether it's this year, next year, or the following years, you got a lot of talent you're blocking in the SEC. That's a tough task.
What's game week like first game of the season? What's that vibe like for a quarterback heading into how many home openers you had to start the season?
The one advantage of week 1 is that you get that extra week of prep, right? So most coaches break camp, and then they have that 1 week. They'll do like a mini install, if you will, of the week to come, which is a normal week of preparation. So you get kind of almost a double dip of prep, and you get the start classes, and you find most guys are breaking training camp and they just want to see a girl. You've been locked in this dungeon of football 24/7 for 4.5, 5 weeks, and so that's always a fun day. First classes are back, girls are back. That's good, right?
What's fun about that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Which girl did you go see?
I probably didn't. I probably didn't have a girlfriend. I probably just wanted to have a girlfriend. I just wasn't cool enough. I didn't have enough swagger, In fact,
I don't believe that. He had some swag.
So Tom Rossley, my senior year, he's our quarterback coach, and he said, McGee, I want to make sure that all of us in this quarterback room know that if my starting quarterback isn't dating the most beautiful girl on campus, you're not going to be the starting quarterback on my football team. My starting quarterback should have enough swagger and charisma to date the best looking girl on campus. So I had to go find one. I was like, man, I'm not going to not be able to play because I can't find a date.
Yeah.
But thank God my wife showed up.
When you became the starting quarterback, how much hotter did you get to girls?
Oh, infinitely.
Changed, right?
My wife, we have this debate all the time, and she gets so mad at me when I say this, but I'm like, sweetie, you are so much better looking than I am. You are so far out of my league. And you guys have seen her. You know that. But
well, your league is the CFL. So
even that proves my point. I have no business dating, much less marrying this woman way out of my league. And I laugh at something like, look, you go look across look at Georgia's quarterback. He's a good football player. Looks are not his thing. Can we agree on that?
You're right, yeah.
And he's got a great-looking girlfriend. Why do you think that is?
Because he's a starting quarterback.
Exactly. Thank you. And so she has a hard time. I'll probably get in trouble for saying this on air. But
is she listening?
She's probably dropping off my daughter at school right now.
Let's hit a break. We'll do a buy, sell, lease, and a cash option to buy. I'm doing 4 on this one, all right? So we'll do that on the other side. Right now, it's game week. And if you're headed to the game this Saturday, the Association of Former Students wants to invite you to join them at the All Aggie Hullabaloo. Make the Clayton W. Williams Jr. Alumni Center your game day headquarters this weekend for free drinks courtesy of Yingling. Nick, I think I said it right. City Orchard cider and free Slovakian sausage. You can also do your pregame shopping at the vendor marketplace with CC Creations, the Charge Apparel, south of Kyle, and Kona Ice. There's going to be a fun zone, games, prizes for the kids. Plus, if you have questions about your Aggie ring or need to have it resized, the Aggie ring office will be open throughout the event. The All Aggie Hullabaloo begins at 3:30 this weekend. The admission is totally free. Register now, tx.ag/AAH1. And if you're driving and can't write it down, check out the forums there at TexAgs.com. You can see it. Again, though, it is tx.ag/AAH1. All right, it's TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. QB1 Stephen McGee with us. Olin Buchanan here with us. Guys, we're going to play a little buy, sell, lease, cash buy. I made 4 because I'm going to give 4 options, okay?
Okay.
And they are best defensive player on the field. And I'm going to give you 2 Notre Dame guys, 2 A&M guys, okay? Benjamin Morrison, Nick Scorton, Howard Cross III, Torian York.
Ooh, that's a good list. Can I go first since I don't?
Yeah.
I know that Notre Dame has a good corner.
That's Benjamin Morrison.
Okay, I'll let Olin, because I know he knows this stuff inside and out. So I'll go with Scorton.
Scorton has the best. Okay.
Well, the most impactful. I mean, there's the
You're
most
buying
important.
him, sorry.
Can we agree that the most important position in football is quarterback? The second most important is the guy gets after the quarterback.
100%.
The edge rusher, and we need that.
Okay, so you're buying Scorton. Cash buy their corner.
Are you going to Olin now?
Oh,
Or
we
me?
can just we can just talk.
Am I buying yet, or am I?
Just whatever you guys.
What's the difference between buying and cash buying?
I just wanted to do another option.
So buying, you're financing.
Yes.
Right? You're not
Cash
as
buy, you're
convinced.
doing
Cash,
it
like I'm
effectively.
showing up tomorrow with cash. I'm buying Scorton with cash.
Yeah, if I'm going to score it, I'll say, yeah, here, let's go right now. What do you want? Here. I mean,
here's a 20.
Yeah, that's hopefully, I think he wants more than that.
Oh, he does? Oh, okay.
Probably 20 times 1,000. But anyway, yeah, Scorton, because again, if you're playing Purdue last year, who did you have to block other than Nick Scorton? And he still got 10 sacks, and they were all against Big Ten, or Power 5 competition, and 2 against Michigan.
Yep.
So, and that's not a knock on the Notre Dame guys, but yeah, I'll go Scorton's guy. And I guess the next guy I'm buying on time is probably, actually, I guess because I like linemen, I'd go Howard Cross.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll finance their corner. And here's the reason why I'm saying that.
I think you're going to say the same reason I'd say.
I don't know what we have at wide receiver, and that matchup is intriguing to me. And obviously, advantage to Notre Dame if they're able to play a lot of single high defense, load up the box to try to slow up our run game. We have 2 good backs and an athletic quarterback. And in Colin Klein's system, expect probably some more of that zone read, occasional quarterback keeper. I'm not going to sit there going to run them all day, but if they're able to load it up and maintain on the edge one-on-one with the corner against our wide receivers and not feel threatened, that's a huge advantage Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think A&M that if Morrison has a good game, A&M could still win. You can throw through the other side. You can throw somewhere.
Yeah.
But if you don't handle Howard Cross and all the things that he does to create havoc, you may have a big problem.
Absolutely.
Well, and here's one advantage for A&M that I hope continues. Conner doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He's got 2 in his career. So
neither were his fault.
Yep, that's true.
True. He protects the football. I'll tell you this, no one talks about this, and I said it last week. He doesn't take sacks. No one ever goes to the great list of quarterbacks and looks at how few sacks they've taken over their career. Go in these preseason games and look at backup quarterbacks. A lot of people go to their completion percentage and their yards and touchdowns. They don't look at sacks. One of the things that hurts a football team more than anything is a quarterback that takes a bunch of sacks. They hesitate. They hold on to the football. Conner gets the ball out of his hands. He plays fast. And that's one of the things I love most about him. When the lights come on, he doesn't hesitate.
Yeah. And one guy I didn't mention on that list but could absolutely be on that list is Xavier Watts.
Yeah. He was the Nagurski Award winner, I think, last year.
What is that, Nagurski?
Bronco Nagurski.
Is that the linebacker award?
No, I think it's for best just defensive player or
Yeah,
something
it's the
like
best
that.
defensive player.
He had like 7 interceptions last year.
He's really good.
Wow.
He's solid.
And they have a good tight end, right?
They have a very good
He had
tight
a really
end.
good game against Duke last year.
But he got hurt. He tore his ACL. He's back. But apparently that tight end room is loaded. They don't even need him to go the whole game. They've got a loaded room.
And you guys know, tight ends in the throw game. If you have 2 tight ends that can really play, it forces you're in 12 personnel, potentially getting base defense from us, which is 3 linebackers. That's a mismatch. Torian York, I love him, but I promise you he's a liability in pass coverage, and that's a huge advantage to them. If you're able to play 12 personnel or 21 personnel and go after your linebackers with a really good athletic tight end, that's nice.
But can Riley Leonard stay upright? And he can run, but can he throw?
That's advantage A&M is we got to get after him. And that is, I think, the one thing offensively for Notre Dame that does concern me is his ability to run. because you can neutralize a great defensive line. If you're doing the zone read run game, you're not blocking Nick Scorton. You're just reading him, and he can't be right. And that athleticism can really put some pressure on a defense.
Got to drop it there. More McGee with Ryan Swope next. Thank you, OB. It's TexAgs Live. All right, it's TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program. So everybody had to come in studio because when we get McGee and Swope together, it's always great radio and good friends. Ryan Swope with us, Stephen McGee with us. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
How you doing?
Oh, man. A lot better now.
Yeah.
Now the football season's here.
It's wild. I need it.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm not a summer person. I don't like, especially August. It's my least favorite month of the year. It's hot. It's like 110 degrees. And the best news about August is that we're getting closer to football season.
Yeah, I know.
And
it
finally
feels
glad that we're
like
here.
this weather's kind of, you get some rain showers, brought the temperatures down. I feel like it's football season.
You feel like a buck in the rut?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Like ready to go chase?
I don't know about that.
Go hit some horns.
Hey, when are we going to go snipe hunting?
Well,
We got to set that up.
we were talking about doing it here in a few months when it starts getting a little colder.
Maybe
Yeah,
bye
that
week.
first front blows in.
Yeah.
That's when the snipe really starts
They s-
moving.
Yeah, they
Ready
start.
to get to that. Hey, so I was talking to Ryan about this. Just life is better when football's good, and we haven't had that for extended period in a long time since 2020 season. But I feel so optimistic because what we were talking about. It's not just Coach Elko, although I'm optimistic about Coach Elko. It's that entire staff. Ryan, start us off.
I'm really excited about this staff, and Stephen and I have talked about this. They did a good job of bringing a collective group in here that knows football, that understands the X's and O's, and that's going to put us in a position to win football games. And that's huge. I mean, looking back last year, there's 2-3 games where I feel like we just got out coached, and so to have some guys really that know X's and O's, they're just going to do a better job managing the game and putting these kids in a position to win and be successful. So
Yeah, one of our friends that was on the previous staff here used to always say, for every bad assistant coach you have on your staff, it'll cost you a game. And
very true.
I heard that and I was like, and then dadgummit if it wasn't true every year.
Yeah. So Ryan, remind me, how much of the 2012 season, you had some great receivers, obviously, but did we know that going into the season? Because I'm thinking about this year's team where there's some potential for these receivers to break out. Noah could break out, but how much did we know about that wide receiver group heading into the year?
I mean, I think that we didn't know. We knew half were going to be good, and then there was a young guy named Mike Evans that we weren't real sure of.
Sure.
Saw some glimpses of him in the summer, Moss and guys at 7-on-7, and then he obviously steps foot on the field and emerges as the greatest Texas A&M receiver of all time. And so something like that, you just never know what you're walking into. And I think this receiver room there's some experience, which is good. Moose and Noah, and there's some guys that have had some Jade, All Day Walker. There's some guys that can really make a difference. It's just a matter of can we protect our quarterback and give these receivers enough time to get open. I think that's the biggest takeaway here is in 2012 we had a spectacular offensive line, which bought Johnny a lot of time and gave us time to do our thing.
Who do you think is going to be our guy that takes the top off coverage? Who's the explosive playmaker at the wide receiver position?
Man, I want to say Moose. When he wants to play, he's extremely talented. But I think that some of the off the field stuff that he deals with, and a matter of getting him to buy into the system. But I think he's the most talented across the board.
I'm going to give you two guys that we haven't seen a lot of. We will see Jabri Barber at some point this season. He's the one who had the amazing spring. And I think Cyrus Allen from La Tech. I think he's another name we'll be talking about.
Yeah, I like Cyrus Allen. Dude, I saw him in glimpses of him in the spring, and I think he's going to bring a dynamic, explosiveness. We need a guy that that we can lean on for those explosive plays, and I think he's going to fill that. Obviously Anias, losing him was huge, and we're going to miss him, but I think Cyrus Allen's going to step in and do a good job for us.
Yeah, Noah Thomas, I think, is the guy that can go up and make. I mean, we saw it in the spring game when he's making tough catches, contested, the big play ability, and can he stay healthy? I think it's always a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people talking about Trey Watson either, right? Tight end.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited about him. That's a big position and often gets overlooked as a target, in the throw game.
And Donovan Green too.
And Donovan Green,
he's healthy, and he was Connor's one of go-to guys when he was healthy.
Yeah, when his engine's turned on and he really wants it, I think he has the ability to be a really top end player too. But we talked about Notre Dame's tight ends and the mismatch you can have in personnel groups. If they're in 12 personnel, same deal for A&M. If both those guys are on and able to take a workload and fully healthy, I think they can both stretch defenses as well, and that's big for Conner. But I think to your point, Swope, putting them in a position to succeed. I just got frustrated last year when we would start series as an offense taking deep shots, right? That's when your defensive line that you're going against is going to be the most fresh. That's when they're teeing off. That's when you want to get the ball out of your hands quickly, right? get the first down, get another first down, get the chains moving. Now that defensive line has had 6-7 snaps. They're getting a little fatigued. Now you take your shots, right?
Yeah.
So part of this, protecting the offensive line, is saying, hey, as a play caller, I've got to put them in a position to succeed, right? And then allow my guys to have time to get open downfield. But we've got to have receivers that in those early downs can win on a slant route, can win on a hitch route when it is contested, right? That's going to be very important. So if I'm looking at this team early, I want to see how are we moving the chains on the short stuff when you have a corner that's down there pressing them? Can you beat a guy on a slant route and make a contested catch to keep the chains moving? Those are important plays that often get overlooked.
Yeah.
Well, and I think those plays might go right up Conklein's alley, right? That seems like the kind of plays that he'll draw up. Have you been able to watch any of his work at Kansas State or maybe some of the practices this year?
I watched the spring. I wasn't able to get there this fall and in camp, but I think that's kind of what McGee is saying. I think and relates to Colin's kind of eye for the offense being run is just getting the ball out into the playmakers' hands and letting them do their thing, and then that like McGee said, it opens up the back end for these receivers to go make plays, and then obviously if we can run the ball effectively. That's a bonus and really helps. Those linebackers start crowding the box, and next thing you know, we can take a shot down the field. But I think that the last few years, I just feel like we've really lacked the explosive plays, your 20, 30, 40-yard passes downfield, really stretching the field. So I'm hoping some of these receivers can step up and that can be their identity.
Defensively, can this defense carry this team to 9+ wins?
I hope so.
I think we'll find that answer out on the back end, right? I think we've had a great defensive line. I mean, you look at A&M's defensive line, top to bottom, for the last decade, you're going to see some cats.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many guys in the NFL right now on the defensive line from A&M. It's underappreciated. And I know there's other schools that have had great D-lines, but we're up there, with the Alabamas and Georgias. But I think linebacker, Torrey York, you feel good. Who's going to be that number 2 linebacker? Scooby Williams is a guy that was there in the spring. Got the transfer from Pitt.
Solomon the Shields.
Yeah, and so I don't know what that position looks like. It's obviously important, but if we can all agree here that the biggest downfall for A&M on defense has been the back end, secondary. And I think even more specific probably at corner, the explosive plays that we give up on defense that really hurt us. And I feel like for the first time, though we haven't really fully seen it. Des Ricks, of course, wasn't here in the spring, but a guy that has a lot of ability. And then you get, Mays as well, that Mays, transferred. Yeah. Tyreek Chappelle at nickel now, right? And then 2 really good safeties. And no offense to any safeties we had in the past, but I want a safety that can run. I don't want a big run-stopping linebacker type safety. I want a guy that can run sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
I want a hawk. And Bryce Anderson playing safety now, and then I'm excited to see Kendall Brooks. So I'm as optimistic as I am on the back end as I've been in a long time. Yet to be seen. It's yet to be substantiated on the field. Yep. But I think that as an Aggie fan going into week 1, if you're as optimistic about anything, it's going to be the back end improvement.
Do you think that we're going to really have to rely on them, to win us games like we have in the past?
I think early we're going to have to rely on our defense to get us through. Yeah. I think that our offense has too many question marks going into week 1.
Agree.
Conner, look, we can debate this all day long. To me, Conner is as good as we're going to get at the quarterback position. It's the offensive line and it's the wide receiver position that I'm nervous about.
Yeah.
I'd like to get both of your perspectives on this. I was listening to Jacob Hester, who played at LSU in the NFL, and he says he was in the NFL because of Tommy Moffitt. Tommy Moffitt is now here. I'll just start it off with you. And just the strength and conditioning coach, how important it's going to be for this particular group that needed that focus, that kick in the rear.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's huge. And I think just the energy that he has brought this summer to the guys, and just – I think, was Elko saying that they're getting ready for this game last spring, and mentally and physically they had this, pinned up on the board.
Yeah.
And this game day, this is what we signed up for. And so they, I know Coach Moffitt, he's been getting these guys ready. And it's huge. I mean, going back, I remember my senior year, had a new strength coach and new plans got thrown at us. And you just got to learn to adapt, and you got to hop on the bus and go. Yeah. And because and it was a great adjustment, and it taught us a lot about ourselves, having to adjust to new things, seeing new drills, And I thought, honestly, it was great just because, sometimes change like that quickly is good.
Yeah.
And learning how to adapt to that. And we did a good job with that. So I think he's a great strength coach, and he's getting these guys ready mentally and obviously physically.
I think the buy-in is so important. You got to have number one guy on your roster, if that's Nick Squirton or Conner Weigman there, every day grinding, as well as the last guy on the roster, the newest walk-on. And I think they said recently that they didn't have a single missed workout all summer with their guys. Very important.
That's
and
huge.
Look, I think we can go back to the Johnny days, and I think it kind of started this trend at A&M where Johnny wasn't there at all during the offseason, right? And he needs to be there. It's important that they see their guy there. And it created this superstar complex where in future stars, the Myles Garretts, and they had their own workouts. They were doing it. And I love that was ended, right? I think some of that creeped into the Jimbo Fisher era. Mm-hmm. And day one, Mike Elko said, all my guys are going to be here. If you want to be on this team, you're going to be here. That accountability is what's really been missing. And I love that. And I think that ties in with your strength and conditioning coach because he spends as much time with these guys as any coach.
If things go right, this happens. If things go wrong, this happens. Swope.
I think if we run the ball effectively, we're going to be a talented football team, and it'll open up the back end for our receivers to make plays down the field.
Yeah, I mean, these games are won and lost with turnovers and explosive plays. You got to protect the football, and you got to find a way to generate explosives on the offensive side of the ball. And if you're going to have good defense, you're going to get after the quarterback. And so if this quarterback runs around and makes plays, which he's capable of doing, it's going to be a long day for us. I really believe that. So I think slowing him down in the run game, keeping him confined in the pocket, force him to be a thrower. He's, a 50% completion guy historically. He can throw it, but he's been a little erratic. And so I think you confine him to the pocket. We're going to have a good day on defense. Offensively, we got to keep Conner upright, and we got to be able to run the football.
Yeah. So let's talk about matchups and where we think A&M has the advantage. Obviously, defensive line against a young group, that's number one advantage, right?
That's what I wrote down on my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, D-line versus Notre Dame's offensive line. I know Notre Dame, they've had some injuries there at left tackle.
6 combined starts on that O-line.
Wow.
And they're all huge guys that are expected to be really good, probably NFL players. But there's something about making your first start, especially against an SEC defensive line at Kyle Field.
Oh, man, if I'm Riley Leonard, I'm shaking in my boots, man. I mean, you got two Shamars running after you.
We were just talking about block and suit all day, but can you imagine lining up against Scourton down one? Here's this guy that just looks like Shrek, but probably more yoked than Shrek, quite frankly. He's a beast, man. That's
a transfer, right? From Purdue.
Yeah.
That dude's a beast. He's from here, isn't he?
But so is Shamar and Shamar.
Both of them.
I mean, these kids nowadays are not kids. These are men. These are grown. Remember Michael Clemens? I mean, that guy was intimidating as they get.
I'm excited for that matchup, but I think this game's gonna be one up in the trenches.
Up in the trenches, and then I think Riley Leonard's an excellent quarterback, but I think the advantage is to Conner at the QB position. Now, where you disagree?
I think Conner has. I think he's got the advantage.
Now, here's where I question though. Their secondary, our secondary. Their secondary is great. Ours is different. It's new.
It's new.
There's a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
And they're in their system. That's the one thing is these guys are familiar with what it is they're being asked to do. Our guys are all in a new system. There's newness. Look, I get it. In the world of transfers, you have to have a system that you can plug and play into, but still, it's new nonetheless. They don't have as many reps in it, and so keeping it simple, I think they will. I wanted Conner. I'm gonna say this every week, and based on what I have seen, look, going into year 3, he doesn't have as much experience as a lot of people would think. How many starts? 7, 8?
8 starts, yeah.
But what I go off of is when the lights come on. Conner Weigman is not a guy, when you go out to 7-on-7, you're like, oh my God, that's the best quarterback I've ever seen. He's not Caleb Williams. He's not going to be able to make the 50-yard rope throw in the hole. But what he is, he plays fast and he's accurate and he's tough. He stands in the pocket, he gets the ball out of his hands, and he delivers accurate throws under pressure. That is, to me, the Drew Brees type quarterback. Underappreciated. That's why Drew Brees went in the second round. He was not a first-round pick. Right. He didn't look like your 6'5", build-a-bear quarterback. But when the lights come on, that guy was phenomenal.
That was a good line. I like that. Build-A-Bear.
Build-A-Bear?
As a dad.
Build-A-Bear quarterback, like Josh Allen, right? Like that's your Build-A-Bear quarterback nowadays.
I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. I think Conner has all the tangibles. We got to keep him healthy.
Yep.
We got to, our offensive line has got to protect him. I thought last year he looked, when he was healthy, I thought he was, above average. But I thought the year before that he was lights out.
I thought he was above average in that Miami game. He was elite in that Miami game.
He was.
In that Miami game, he was elite. Auburn game, he struggled a little bit, but he only got to play half.
Yeah.
That was the one game where he did struggle. I fully agree with you, but every time else he's been out in the field, I showed them some clips. So we have this debate amongst our Aggie football friends here in town, and everyone else is a little bit on the fence, and rightfully so. But from my eyes, I haven't seen one like him. And
I mean, you're a quarterback.
We agree.
So
we agree to disagree on some of this stuff. But if this football team is going to be great this year, if they get to 10 wins, it's going to be because Conner Weigman. You cannot get to an elite level at Texas A&M right now without an unbelievable quarterback. And so there's a lot of pressure right on him. And this is a big year for me. He has to take a big leap. He's shown some great things, but now it's time for him to do it 12 games in a row.
So in the last 20 years,
yes,
Conner has the ability to be not Johnny, because I think Johnny has the Heisman, right?
But don't compare people to Johnny.
He's in another category.
Right.
Johnny was the best college football player that I'll probably ever get to see. Like, he's right up there with Joe Burrow. I get that. That's different. But I'm talking about an elite quarterback, a pure quarterback, a guy that has the skill set to play for a long time at the NFL.
Conner's
His
that guy.
skill set is that. Now, he's got to go out there and show it, but he's further along than Ryan Tannehill was at this point in his career. He doesn't have the arm of Ryan Tannehill, but he's got the accuracy, the toughness, the things in the pocket that Ryan did not have. And Ryan's a great quarterback. He was first-round pick in a weak class. But Conner Weigman is further along, and in my opinion, at this stage, a better quarterback than Ryan, which I think we'd all agree is the best A&M NFL quarterback.
Yep. Let's close out with this. We always do it. Who will get it done? Who will not get it done, Ryan?
Well, I think our defensive line is going to get it done. That's where I'm putting all my stock in it. And who's not going to get it done?
Their offensive line?
Riley Leonard.
Okay.
And I think that Coach Elko has, an up notch in that matchup. Just it's his old quarterback.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's going to be fun to watch. What a matchup.
I'm excited about the assistant coaches at Texas A&M, and I want to see the impact that they can have. So I'm going to buy and say that we get it done on the assistant staff, the play calling, our offensive and defensive coordinators. That, to me, has to be a difference this year.
I'm going to give you one more. Patrick Doherty, special teams coach. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
Been a minute.
It makes a difference. Teams coach, man.
Let's go, right?
Let's go.
What a concept.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. See you next week. It's always fun. All right, Milliken Reserve time, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got wide open spaces, and a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They've done that by creating a sanctuary for family, for community, for nature. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community, respect for that native landscape and wildlife. They have 2,600 acres of open space, 30 miles of trails, and homes. They connect families to nature and to each other with an extensive network of trails throughout a wooded landscape that includes walking and equestrian paths, creeks, ponds, and gathering areas, and they're committed to maintaining and restoring that natural habitat. The website is millikenreserve.com. You can go there right now, millikenreserve.com. It is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is now time for Around the Association. Let's get it popping. Scott and Randy are in the house. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
So let's, we got a lot of stuff going on. How busy is it for both of you this time of year?
Crazy. It is crazy. Yeah. It is full speed, pedal to the metal from now till, May.
For you?
Same thing. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, we'll talk about some things here, but it's a calm before the storm. I think was last week, but now we're in it. I mean,
we're in it.
More days, and it's starting.
Scott Walker's class of 90, Vice President.
Right.
Randy's class of 01, Director of Marketing there at the Association of Former Students. All right, let's start things off with the gathering. Always a great event. You want to kick it off here?
Sure. That's our first big event of every school year. Been doing it for years. We invite all of the new fish over, and we feed them and give them T-shirts and host their first official on-campus yell practice. The soccer team comes and the volleyball team comes. They speak to the new fish, and President Welsh and Betty were there. Trev Alberts came, and it was great. It was a good event. That was Sunday night. There were thousands of them.
Class of 28. That's just weird
how is that
say.
Possible, man? No way.
Don't ask them when they were born because it just
no.
Makes you feel
Yeah.
My sons are class of 26 high school, so I'm like, when they're at A&M, because of course I'm going to force them to go to A&M, they'll be class of 30. Like, that's just weird to me.
Yeah, that's.
And we got some pictures running up there. Looks like a great time. Let's talk about the all Aggie hullabaloo, right?
Yeah, we're excited. So this will be the third year that we're hosting the hullabaloo.
Okay.
So for us, it was an opportunity to invite Aggies and guests that are coming to the game, come to our building. We're going to have a lot going on. So same is true this year. So we will have all sorts of things going on. DJ Rob will be spinning the music.
On the ones and twos?
We've got ones and twos. We've got, we'll have free drinks. So a couple free drinks if you register for the hullabaloo. Yingling, City Orchard Cider provided.
I have a hard time saying that.
I know.
Yingling.
I put it Yingling.
And I still messed it up.
Okay.
Am I saying it right? Yingling.
Yeah,
okay.
Yingling. So we'll have them.
And Slovakics, don't forget.
Yeah, that one, yes. Slovakic, I can say.
So it was funny. Last year we didn't have Slovakics. We had food trucks, which is great.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of people asking, where's Slovakics? And so those guys are awesome. They're providing all the sausage. And the thing is, we have a former student who is actually going to come, bring his trailer. He's going to grill for us. And he said, I just want to help. I just want something to do. And so he'll be out there grilling the sausage for us. So we'll have the sausage, the drinks. We'll have water.
Kona Ice, right?
Ice. We'll have a little bit of marketplace, CC Creations, the Charge Apparel, and South of Kyle will be out there too. So,
Aggie owned operated guys, by the way, a bunch of those.
They're going to bring out. It's going to be awesome. But
also, it begins at 3:30.
3:30. So it's 3 hours before kickoff, and then it runs to kickoff. And so we just encourage everyone to register, tx.ag/AAH1. And if people are driving right now, we put a couple threads on TexAgs with that information. And so registration gives them a little tab. Every tab gives them a free drink, got a couple free drinks, and then they can hang out with us. And then they can also come inside the building. Like yourselves, we have a 26-foot TV that we throw the games up on, and air-conditioned seating. Even if they don't have a ticket to the game, they can hang out. We show the game full screen. So
I just thought of something. I didn't know I could watch the we could just do a little
game watching party.
Right? Like I'm going to be at the game, but like if I want
VIP game watching party.
Yeah, we might have to sell that. All right. Aggie Park mural. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so it's something that's been in the works for a couple of years. We're very proud of the work that we did with Aggie Park, and the creamery on the backside, we always had a space for something. And so for the last couple of years, we've been working on developing a mural that really, for us, is an opportunity to provide another great spot for people to enjoy. Hopefully it's an Instagram moment for a lot of people. But there's a lot of symbolism in the art. Within each letter is something from Howdy to Here, and it really represents the association support of Aggies in their journey from Howdy to Here. We're proud of it. We worked with an artist out of Waco, Cade Kegris. He's done murals at the Dr. Pepper Museum, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, and Baylor. And so he was out there for about 3 weeks putting that thing up, and we were pumped when it was finished, and it's beautiful. Encourage everyone to go check it out. It is a fantastic piece, and it's a gift, again, from us, the association, to the university as part of Aggie Park.
It didn't happen if you don't put it on the gram. So everybody's got to get out there and put it on
Hopefully
Instagram.
It didn't happen. That's right.
And Randy wouldn't say this, but he was the leader of that whole project.
Okay.
And it took a solid 2 years, and there were a lot of iterations and back and forth and permissions from the university and just A lot of hard work went into it, and Randy's a bulldog, man. When he gets on a bone,
Oh, yes, he is. I know he's a bulldog. Yes,
Yeah,
that is true, and that's a compliment, by the way.
Appreciate that.
Let's talk about gigs, because I know we have some people in this building that have taken jobs, that know people have taken jobs across the street. Let's talk about what's open.
Yeah, we're always hiring. We work hard, but don't let that scare you off, man. It is a great job. It's a great place to work. On campus, in the middle of all the action. Doing something rewarding. We're not making widgets, right?
Yeah.
We're making Aggies, so it is something that you wake up every day and you feel like, yeah, I'm making a difference. And so we got entry-level positions. We've got positions all the way up to CFO. Always hiring student assistants.
Yep.
We have some student assistant positions on our events team that are basically on call, where you sign up for shifts, and so a lot of flexibility around your class schedules. And students who work for us get all the benefits of the students who work for the university, even though we're a separate entity.
Don't you think, too, like you get so much fulfillment working for the Aggie Network because you know what it stands for, what it means, and how many people you impact?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's like to me, that's what it is.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story if you have time. So we just hired on a new member of the marketing team.
Yeah.
So she's been on for almost 2 months, and Gathering was her first event.
Okay.
And so she's played a role in all of the things that we were doing. And she was out there, and she looked at me and she said, "I can't believe this is my job." And I said, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
And so all the things we talk about, hullabaloo, we've got Distinguished Alumni Gala coming up, reunions. I mean, the fulfillment, I tell everyone that I don't feel like I love doing what I do.
Yeah.
I'm almost going on 10 years now. And so
has it been that long?
It has.
Wow.
And so same person at the end of the day will say, "It's already 5 o'clock."
Right.
I don't feel like I've been working because she is having so much fun.
You know, I put this idea out there many times. I hope somebody jumps on it, but I feel like one of the trips you guys take, TexAgs Live needs to take their show live. I'm just saying, like you go many cool places. So
For sure.
Just an idea.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
for
This will be a great event. All Aggie Hullabaloo, you can register at tx.ag/AAH1. And as Randy said, it's posted all over our boards. When we come back, Aaron Torres of Fox Sports Radio and Aaron Torres Online. Right now, though, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. They have a great selection of commercial vehicles with service body trucks, flatbed trucks, several medium-duty trucks for those heavier jobs. They're also locally owned and Aggie owned, right? So we're talking about the Aggie Network. Well, here you go. Aggie alumni are running Caldwell Country Chevrolet, and they have the complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers, which is top notch. They also offer free oil changes for life on the purchase of your vehicle as long as you own that Caldwell Country Chevrolet vehicle. They're a proud supporter of Aggie athletics, but again, it's about the huge inventory that they have. They have long-lasting relationships with all of their customers. I bought a Tahoe there a couple years back, and again, the customer service top-notch. They treat their customers like family. It's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginning of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, everybody. It is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Quickly, I want to tell everybody about the new era of college football arriving. So if you're trying to celebrate the new conferences or A&M's new season, the playoff formats, or all new season of Fansville, grab some ice cold Dr. Pepper. You can do that this Friday and get your picture taken with the National Championship Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper. The trophy will be at the College Station Walmart from 12 to 2 and the Bryan Walmart on Briarcrest from 3 to 5. College football is a Pepper thing. We're going to have that trophy in this studio tomorrow. So make sure you're watching at the brand new Rollo Insurance Studio. It is now time for Around College Football, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. And they've done that by developing the Conservancy. So take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at MillikenReserve.com. We go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. That's where we find Aaron Torres of Aaron Torres Online and Fox Sports Radio. AT, what up, buddy?
David Nuño, hey, listen, I know we've been waiting 9 months for this exact moment. Talk week one. I have two non-week one questions, though. The first one, tell me about this rebrand, man. I know I was supposed to be on video with you today. I apologize. I promise next week I'll be. But tell me a little bit about, I know your audience already knows, but Torres as an outsider, I'm just trying to get caught up on everything going on in your world, my friend.
Buddy, we got a brand new studio. When I say brand new, state-of-the-art studio, we're still working on some of the sound, but visually, it is fantastic. It will rival anything you see on Apple Soccer, if you've watched that, the NFL Network, SEC Network. It's pretty fantastic, man. They did it right here.
Dude, I can't wait to see the second thing really quick. How was Armen Keteyian? I actually cracked open that book last night. It actually, I don't know if he told you, but it starts with the whole Jimbo, Nick Saban dust up. I know we're ready to put the Jimbo era in the past, but was curious what he had to say about the book and everything like that.
It was interesting. He talked a lot about how that all kind of started the dominoes that we've seen here with NIL. Obviously, the O'Bannon storyline is what started it from a legal perspective, but then the arms race that started after the sliced bread commentary, which, by the way, journalists took as gospel, and it wasn't. It was on a message board. And then college football coaches took as gospel, like a Nick Saban, and all of that spiraled afterwards. And also just how Jimbo handled, he was always comparing himself to Saban, and at Florida State, he needed a helicopter. He needed to catch up with the facilities. He had that done at A&M, and it just obviously, he kind of lost what he was not searching for, but how to do it in the process of doing that.
Well, what I would say is a couple things. Is one, certainly the relationship, listen, I know it's an easy narrative for everyone in the media. Oh, former offensive coordinator, blah, 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 this and that. Even just the part I read, you can tell, and I don't think it's a big secret, but that the relationship certainly wasn't what the media made it out to be. I don't think Jimbo frankly liked him very much. So that's one. But two, I'll also say I still am kind of blown away because even in the book, the probably 10 pages that I read before I fell asleep last night because I'm an old man, is that basically there's still this narrative of like, everyone in the industry really thought Jimbo Fisher could have handled it better. It's like exactly what you said, Nuño. And I'm not saying this because I'm on your show. I've told Ryan Fowler the same. I'm just like stunned that somehow this got twisted into Jimbo Fisher overreacting when Nick Saban completely called him out personally, professionally, called out his credibility. And it's just wild to me, and it doesn't matter now. Jimbo's gone, whatever. Nick Saban's gone, frankly, that there's still this narrative that Jimbo Fisher somehow did something wrong by defending himself in this program. Still drives me crazy.
AT, I was listening to your show this morning, and I don't want to necessarily start with Miami and Florida, but I found it interesting, the Cam Ward stat that you had. I think he's great, right? But it was over 40 fumbles, not all lost, but over 40 fumbles at Washington State.
Yeah. Yeah, no, listen, as intriguing a week one game as I think there is, and we all, we spent 8 months talking about Billy Napier. But yeah, I'll tell you this, David. So really two things. One, Cam Ward, I think he was the best quarterback in the portal. If I had, my NIL board and I could spend $1 million on a quarterback or whatever, that's the guy I would have gone after. But also, we know if you're a fifth-year guy and still in college football, there's something probably wrong with you. And he has been a little loose with the football. I think the stat is like 48 fumble, something like that, over a 4-year college career dating back to his days at Incarnate Word. So he's a little loose with the football. That's obviously going to be a crazy crowd. But I think the other part, too, David, I don't know if you got to watch the Georgia Tech-Florida State game. The helmet comp thing is really interesting to me. I think it could be a factor in College Station as well, is you watch the Florida State game, it's supposed to be a neutral site, and I see Haynes King with his ears in his ear holes trying to block out the crowd noise. And I wonder if, especially early in these true road environments, a Cam Ward, a Riley Leonard type quarterback does struggle with that, because I think it's a whole new element that we just, I don't know, every coach prepares for everything, but I think it's a whole new element that we maybe haven't factored in these crazy true road environments.
Talking to Aaron Torres on the Boss Firearms Hotline here on TexAgs Live. Let's jump a little bit to the A&M game, and when you think about the quarterback battle, there's going to be Conner versus Riley, Conner Weigman versus Riley Leonard. Both are elite quarterbacks in different ways. Conner, to me, is just like a stoic figure who can run when he has to, delivers a great ball, sees a lot of traffic, and is able to still deliver a pretty ball. Riley's more, he's going to beat you with his legs and can make some throws, but maybe not as accurate down the field. How do you caddy this quarterback battle?
Well, I just think it's interesting with both guys coming off, major season-ending injuries, how loose these two coaches let them. And you would know, being at practice and everything, how the offensive line has developed and this and that. But, I think that to me is the most interesting perspective of this game, is it's not only two really intriguing teams, but two quarterbacks that are coming off injury. I don't think we should know what to expect from either of them. Now, I have a little bit more faith in Conner Weigman. Obviously an A&M guy. He's worked with a lot of those players before. A lot of those guys were on the field last year with him. So I think it's a little bit different. I think the other interesting thing about Riley Leonard, I think you and I might have mentioned this last week, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, is that this is a guy who not only missed, the final month of the regular season last year, and that's okay. Injuries happen. You feel bad. You're glad he's healthy. But he also missed spring ball of last year. And so probably doesn't quite have the reps that I think a lot of people think, especially with his new teammates at Notre Dame. So Notre Dame lost 4 offensive linemen off last year's team. Obviously, the projected starting left tackle is out for the season with injury. I think it's going to be a fascinating matchup, and I think it goes without saying. It's not like I'm breaking some incredible news here, but I think it obviously starts with the two quarterbacks under center Saturday night in College Station.
All right, so what does a win mean for both programs this particular season? What does a loss do for both programs this season?
Well, I think, Notre Dame needs it more, and I'll tell you why, is because you look at that schedule. I mean, that schedule is a little bit underwhelming. I mean, if USC loses to LSU this weekend in Vegas, I think there's a possibility that there is quite literally maybe not a single ranked opponent left on Notre Dame's schedule come week 2. Now, obviously, USC could win, or USC could improve, or Florida State could somehow figure it out. But you lose this game, and I think we all have, a lot of people have penciled Notre Dame into that 12-team playoff, and a lot of it, frankly, is based off of that schedule. But if you lose this one, maybe another one, all of a sudden you look up and it's like, well, where are the great wins? And I don't think it's as guaranteed as people think. For A&M, it goes without saying it'd be huge. The energy of the Mike Elko era. But I'll also say, David, listen, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, and I know that there's a lot of people listening that, just want to take it one game at a time. But I know you, and I know me, and I know everybody has talked about that A&M schedule where most of your biggest, virtually all of your biggest games are at home. And so if you win this one, again, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. There's a lot of good teams on the schedule, a lot of tough games, I think even starting 2 weeks from now with Florida on the road. But I just bring it up because, you could be looking at maybe A&M being one of those surprise teams, and a team that final couple of weeks of the season is very much in that playoff picture, buoyed again off of a win against Notre Dame.
Talking to Aaron Torres on the Boss Firearms Hotline, Aggie Land's premier gun and accessory shop. They've got all you need to build your next firearm. Check them out at bossfirearms.com. AT, let's talk about the battle of no defense, LSU and USC. Both have said they've worked on their defense. LSU, I have a little bit more faith in it because of the defensive coordinator change, right? That being said, LSU has struggled in these openers the last few years under Brian Kelly. How does this play out?
Yeah, first of all, I love this time of year when everyone's weaknesses last year are now no longer weaknesses. LSU's defense has improved. It's amazing to listen to, and I understand why coaches say it, but it still cracks me up. But you're right. Is I think it'll be an interesting test. Both with the new scheme, the new coordinator, the new whatever, but also, listen, these were also two elite offenses last year. Now, I think what's interesting is we kind of just talked about the returning personnel at Notre Dame versus A&M. Well, it's kind of the same to a degree with USC LSU. Is I think USC should have a little bit of confidence because we saw Miller Moss in that bowl game, 6 touchdown passes. I know it's a quote-unquote meaningless bowl game, but, I think that opened up a lot of people's eyes of Lincoln Riley's still an elite play caller. Lincoln Riley can still put any quarterback in a position to succeed. So now I think it obviously comes down to LSU. And David, I don't think that I really realized how bad LSU has been in these openers. It's funny. Obviously, the last 2 years they lose to FSU. The year before, I had forgotten this, right down the street from where I live at the Rose Bowl, they get smoked by UCLA, in the final year of the Coach O era. And then I believe that 2020 COVID season, they lost their opener as well. So we're talking about potentially 5 straight seasons that they open with a loss. And I think for Brian Kelly, it's a weird deal because he's not on the hot seat. He's recruiting well. But, some of these big games, he hasn't looked good, and especially early. And like anything else, you put yourself behind the 8 ball with your fan base, it's sometimes tough to come back from that. So I think this is, right up there as the most intriguing opener. I was trying to get out there for the game. Unfortunately, because of my radio show Saturday night, it's probably not possible. But man, oh man, oh man, that's as exciting of a game, I think, as any in week 1 of college football.
Got a minute left. I want Colorado to lose to North Dakota State. That's what I want. Ooh. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's what I want. Is there a chance?
So you're saying there's a chance? I don't really think so. I mean, North Dakota State. Listen, Carson Wentz ain't walking through that door. They had 4 losses last year. They have a first-year head coach. Their head coach actually, ironically, went to USC to be part of that new defensive staff that's going to take the world by storm starting on Sunday. But Colorado, man, listen, they brought in difference makers at pretty much every position group. Now, I don't think they're going 10-2 and winning the Big 12 to go to the college football playoff, but I think they're probably in that 6-6, 7-5 range. I don't think they're going to lose, but I will tell you this, David Nuño. You talk about the best thing for content. Oh, buddy, it would not get better than if Colorado lost tonight to North Dakota State.
Buddy, I appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week, hopefully on Zoom, so you can take a look at the new digs.
Ooh, I cannot wait. I promise. You have Torres' word. It's as good as gold. We'll talk next week. Thank you.
All right, AT. Talk to you in a bit. Thanks so much. Aaron Torres there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back, go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, get some reports from Juan over there. Right now, we are talking about Heritage Films. So it's football season. You guys are probably going to be tailgating at some A&M games, right? You should consider calling Chance McClain up and having a documentary done about that exact event. You're saying to yourself, why would I do that? Like, why do I want to capture me drunk? I'm not saying that part of the story, right? If you want to. I'm talking about how your granddad comes and you guys are all wearing maroon, and then the grandkids are there throwing the football, and you've got your DirecTV set up so you can watch games as you're getting ready for the party or for the A&M game, and all the cool stuff that you do at your tailgate. Have it shot in a documentary form, interviews, and preserve that, because that's what your family does, because your family goes to A&M games on weekends. Have a documentary done so you can save that for the next generation and the generation after that. Or maybe you want to do it on your grandfather, because how he started the family, how he got his first job, how he graduated from A&M and met your grandmother. Maybe it's about your family business. Make your family business a character in the story, how it originated. Chance McClain does these documentaries, 2-hour form, and he is the absolute best at doing those. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. It is Heritage Films. It is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Angry Elephant, like your politics, love your bar. Find Angry Elephant near you in Bryan, College Station, Magnolia, San Antonio. And by the way, maybe somewhere else at some point. Juan Marcos, hello.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Great.
Give me something. We only got a minute.
Well, first, starting off, Terry Bussey was named to the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year watch list, joining 37 other candidates from around the college football landscape. Notable winners from the past include Trevor Lawrence, Brock Bowers, Drake May, and Caleb Downs from last season. TexAgs' very own Ryan Broniger announced that over 120 recruits are coming in this weekend.
That's a lot.
Oh, it's a lot. We've got 8 from the Texas top 10 from the class of 2026, 16 of the TexAgs top 20, and 25 in the top 30.
Very, very good stuff, Juan. Thank you very much. When we come back, I think many of you are going to be very excited. The Fan Show returns. It's been a few months. The Fan Show guys, Roy May, Hunter Shurtleff, Matt Browning in studio in the brand new Rollo Insurance Studio. That and more. It is TexAgs Live. And we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. The new era of college football has arrived, so while you're celebrating the new conferences, new playoff formats, and the all-new season of Fansville, grab some ice-cold Dr. Pepper. You can do that this Friday to get your picture taken with the National Championship Trophy, presented by Dr. Pepper. The trophy's going to be at the College Station Walmart, 12 to 2, in the Bryan Walmart on Briarcrest from 3 to 5. College football, it's a Pepper thing. And by the way, we will have that trophy in studio tomorrow during TexAgs Live. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the Fun Show. Presented by a new sponsor, by the way.
All right.
Prize Picks, the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports DFS platform in North America. They're the easiest, most exciting way to play DFS. It's you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of players, including the pros and the sharks. You pick more than less or more than or less than 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. The website is prizepicks.com/TexAgs and use the code TexAgs. You'll get yourself $50 to start playing. Ladies and gentlemen, Roy May, hello.
What's up? Was that the sticky post that was like pick 'em and rip 'em?
Yes.
I loved it.
That's great.
Love it.
Hunter
And,
Sherlock?
and I'm a
Patty.
degenerate, so I'm all about gambling.
This is not gambling. This is daily fantasy sports.
That's right.
How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. This is incredible.
Yeah?
This is nuts.
Matt Brady.
Hey.
My brother, how you been?
I'm good, man. It's been a while.
It's weird. Like, I get used to seeing you guys all the time.
Hey, week in and week out. We hadn't been here since May, and so it's been a while. And so there's a lot to talk about. I don't really keep up with baseball. Did anything weird happen there? Anything interesting?
I mean, interestingly, like today is got to be about football, but I'm sure at some point we will talk because you guys haven't had a good for you. So let's start things off with the man who's wearing the good hat. What's on your mind this morning?
Well, it's going to be what's on everybody's mind, so I'm going to try to not take the low-hanging fruit, and just say college football is bad kind of thing. What's on my mind, though, and it's a bit of carryover, what an amazing way to start a college football season, watching Haynes King beat FSU in what I thought was a wildly entertaining game when you have no skin in the game, right?
That's right.
Like Georgia Tech and FSU. I mean, you can dislike FSU. That's kind of a popular national narrative generally, but I thought Georgia Tech was going to win. I thought the game was amazing, and it was just such a great way to kick it off. And being a Premier League guy, so I got like kind of a full day of entertainment, a whole weekend. So sports is back in swing, and I'm ready to hear power and have them guys run out of the run out of the tunnel. And
you a power guy?
I think it's iconic in the sense we did it long enough.
Yeah.
And so just do it and stick with it kind of thing. And I think if they do it, if there were a lid on Kyle Field, it would absolutely blow off if they do that. I'm really excited, and I am the sunshine pumper on the board. I think it actually goes in order if on your radio dial from right to left, from like sunshine to doom and gloom.
No, I'm
he starts off sunshine.
I'm nothing but joy and rainbows.
Tell about the second snap.
No, he'll change like mid-sentence. He'll start off gloom. By the end of the sentence, he loves those Aggies, man.
Guilty. I'm the same guy.
I'm fired up, and we've got a couple of good matchups across the board as well. I think Penn State, West Virginia is going to be a really hell of a game to watch. So it's a whole weekend of college football, and it starts tonight. And I'm right with you when you were talking to AT. Go North Dakota State.
Yeah, I'm so done with Deion, that whole act. And I used to like him at the Cowboys and the 49ers. There's a part of me that got annoyed by him, but he was so. I don't like this version of him.
No,
it's not good.
Yeah, and again, like AT said, he made some changes and brought in some impact players, but you still got to prove it on the field. And that was the most celebrated garbage program I've seen in a long time.
Mr. Shurtleff, what's on your mind?
Well, excited for the home opener. So. Right, this couldn't be much bigger. I don't know who you could have as the opening game. Notre Dame, the history, the pageantry, right?
The
towel. You could name a couple, maybe SEC opponents though, and we don't get these very often at home, right? So lately the tendency has been big matchups, Georgia, Clemson, but it's in Atlanta. Right. So there's not a lot of home and home anymore, especially to open the year, because everybody wants to open with McNeese or Tarleton or do something like that.
State.
So this is great. So we haven't had a home opener this big. So go back 2016, UCLA, certainly not Notre Dame, but that was a big anticipated matchup. They had what we thought at the time that the number 1 draft pick quarterback coming in. He took some shots at Kyle Field. Said it wasn't much different than 50,000 people, 100 doesn't make any difference. And then
12.
And then going back then, you have to go back to 2012 to Florida. So it's
which wasn't supposed to be our first game. Remember, it was supposed to be La Tech.
Yep, you're right. Good call. Yeah, that was just circumstance. But
so
two, and that's a dozen years, and 2 just giant home run openers. So it's fun. And the history of Notre Dame. Now, the folks on campus right now, I don't think they were born when we played Notre Dame in 2000, 2001. But I go back even further, right? So we had 3 Cotton Bowls after the 87 season, 92 season, and 93 season where we played Notre Dame. Pretty familiar with them. And then we turn around less than a decade later and play a home and home with them. So
when was the Cotton Bowl, 85?
87 was the 87 season, the 92 season, and the 93 season we played them.
Yep, I remember.
It was the 88 Cotton Bowl. That's right. I remember. I had that old sweatshirt, with like the helmets on. I remember that old. I'm gonna have to go dig that.
I was there. I remember. I was a kid, but I went. Yeah, that was great.
So that I think that's great. I mean, it's just a fantastic opener. Made a loop through campus. Aggie Park already looks incredible. The game day stage is up. All the tailgating tents, the preset ones are up. It's incredible.
Well, one thing we haven't even talk about the history of Notre Dame. What about the storylines in this game, man? Riley Leonard, Mike Elko, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Like, this is days for content.
There's a lot of but here's the problem. We've had 9 months of these days for content. Like, I am just ready for some freaking football. Like, I want to see this D-line on that O-line. I want to see what Riley Leonard can do against the new-look defense, and especially the backfield. I want to see what Conner looks like healthy. There's so many things to get into. What's on your mind?
Well, first, wow.
Yeah?
Wowzers. Y'all have stepped up your game here. This is amazing.
We can play racquetball on here.
Well, first of all, we all watched it this week, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We walk in this room, it's totally different.
Doesn't do it justice.
I was like, I've been watching all week. I walk in here and I'm blown away. I mean, it is a absolutely beautiful facility. They've done a fantastic job.
I didn't even know this part existed in this building.
Well, I think they bought it not too long ago.
Yeah, you had to buy the building next door.
Yeah.
This used to be where they sold retail in here.
Yeah, it was a retail place. Yeah.
But yeah, this is amazing. Everything's looks fantastic, and so kudos, well done.
Thank you very much.
Obviously, what's on my mind is the same thing as everybody else. It is football time. It's football time in Aggie land. We've got I'm going to just pile on what they've already said. It's Notre Dame coming to town. That stadium is going. We all know that stadium is absolutely rocking. A night game at Kyle Field with this opponent coming in. Hey, and for what a lot of y'all have paid for your tickets, you better be loud, because this has been I've never seen ticket prices this insane for this game in Texas. I mean, you look right now, I've never seen anything like it. So it is going to be just a blast this weekend. I'm so glad that, first of all, that we get to live here. So we don't have to travel in like a lot of folks, but it is going to be fire this weekend. And like Aaron Torres said, like he was saying even more, is like the idea of what that stadium and what that crowd is going to do to a quarterback in a new system, like a Riley Leonard. In that, I mean,
with
just
the
like,
helmet comms.
And I was going to bring up UCLA and who was it? What was their quarterback?
Josh
Rosen.
Josh Rosen. Yeah, he came in. He was like, "Oh, I'm not." And then we
rattled him.
Yeah, hey, he got us back the next year though, pretty badly, if I recall.
We're not going to talk about that.
That's a different.
I'm sorry, I don't even remember that year.
Not
I don't know what you're talking
California.
about.
That's different.
Yeah, that's a different place.
All right, so let's talk about what worries you about this game in particular. All right, and we'll start off with you, Matt.
Oh boy.
I mean, the same things that worries. It's going to worry everybody. I think if you look at our roster and you look at up and down, I think it's pretty easy to see where the biggest question mark is, and that's the O-line. I mean, again, there's tons of talent on the O-line, so I have no doubt that they can be fantastic. Just in the last couple seasons, I mean, what was it, 2020? Was that the last really good O-line
yeah.
we had? Or
21,
even
they
decent?
were okay as the year went on, but they weren't.
They were serviceable.
So, I mean, I have all the faith in the world the D-line is going to be one of the best in the country. The linebacking crew looks like it's much improved. I mean, losing Edger and Cooper, but I think overall, depth-wise, I think we have more depth in the linebacker position. Cornerback the secondary can only get better. They can't get any worse than they were last year, at least. So they can only get better. We brought in some guys. We've got some experience there. Our quarterback is healthy, and he was one of the. When healthy last year, he was one of the best in the business, and then our skill position guys are what they are. I mean, they're great. So, to me, everything boils down to the O-line and what they can do. And there's tons of talent there. Just can we put it all together? And I'm hoping they show that and we come out and just blow their doors off.
There we go.
Hey, I'm sunshine pumping today,
Let's
boys.
go.
Hunter, what worries you about this matchup?
Just the newness. So we got center, right guard, tight end, your slot receiver, defensive end. I mean, I know Scorton's going to be great. This jack position, a linebacker and a cornerback on the starting lineup, right? New or transfers, right? And go ahead and throw Terry Bussey in there too for punt returns because he's never done it in Kyle Field. So that's my concern, the newness of it. These guys haven't played in Kyle Field, even though all those transfers have played, and most of them have been starters. They played some big-time college football, right?
Yeah, of all those you listed, defensive end would be the absolute least of my worries.
Yeah, that's not a word. But I'm just saying the newness of it. There's some newness of new systems, and so it might be. I'm kind of the mindset we're going to endure that first half and kind of hang on.
And hope that they have the same issues that we have.
Right.
You know?
Elko's the second half guy, first of all, on his adjustments. And then that offense, I think it may take just a little bit to click, maybe not. So that offensive line you're talking about, you watch some Colin Klein. If you don't know how to pull, I mean, he pulls those linemen in his playbook. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I think they got competent coaching between the offense coordinator and the new offensive line coach. I think they're going to be all right there.
Roy?
My biggest fear is for Riley Leonard's health.
He's going to be running for his life, you think?
So to me, it's both sides. Both offenses are looking at the same issues. They are, right? Offensive line. Just straight up. And I know Notre Dame, everybody says, like, Notre Dame always reloads and they always reseg, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what we said about FSU, and they gave it to Georgia Tech, right? Right, so we don't know year to year. They've got a young left side of the line, which is the important side of the line. Everybody knows that. Like left guard and left tackle, they have a dearth of experience. And so it's going to come down to which offensive line gels first, I think, because Notre Dame's defense is legit, right? They are. That we do know, right? Their offense we don't know about. Again, Riley Leonard, new offense, time to gel with the new. So again, AT touched on this. So Conner Weigman, at least he's been, even though it's a new system, he's been with these guys. There's some familiarity there, that extends past fall camp, right? Or summer camp, whatever you want to call it. And so my biggest fear is that their offensive line figures it out earlier in the game than ours does. And again, I know it's kind of ringing the same bell. Everybody's going to say it, this offensive line, but this is one of those where, they've got to prove it. Before I'm going to give it to them, right? It's like Georgia's going to win until they're not, right? Like we always said about Saban teams. Well,
Georgia's now that.
I'm not going to say we have a great offensive line until they prove we've got a great offensive line. Now, that said, when I look at the mindset that I perceive, right, because I'm not homies with these guys, but from Elko and from Colin Klein and what I would assume their assistant coaches mirror as well, right? Because they hire who they want, and who fits with them. The grit and discipline kind of approach to this, I think, fits so perfectly in line with Colin Klein's offense, because Colin Klein's coming out of the Bill Snyder tree, and you want to talk about a dude that squeezed every juice, every drop of juice out of every lackluster talent that he brought in there from JUCOs. When you think about it, K-State was just littered with 3-stars, and they won games, and they were a formidable opponent, and that was Bill Snyder's thing. Colin Klein comes out of that, he understands that. So some of this isn't flash. It's not all about the flash. This is your assignment, do your assignment. So I have faith in that, but it's just kind of cautious optimism. I think we'll be good, but I got to see it with my own eyes.
Would a blowout, and whoever wants to start here, on either side surprise you? If A&M wins 30-10, 27-10, let's call that blowout numbers, or vice versa, would any of those surprise you, Hunter? You start us off.
Yeah, I mean it would. I see that over under at 46. You kind of lean toward the under in first game. And I think that's turnovers and special teams. If you get a blowout, then you're going to have some additional scoring opportunities. That would surprise me. Would love it if it's on our end. But
anything north of 10 points to me would be a blowout. So, I picked this game 21-12. I won't tell you who I picked yet, because I guess we'll get to that. But I picked it as a tight game.
Yeah.
And again, if there's a blowout, like you said, I can see it's because of a defensive score, or a slip up on special teams kind of thing, where it was a 7 or 10 point game, then all of a sudden it's 14, and because it's a tight line, right? It's 3 points, and I understand how lines work and how the money comes in. I get that, but I can't imagine any team running away with it. If either team runs away with this, watch out for that team the rest of the year. That's kind of how I look at it because both defenses are formidable. So I just can't see a blowout.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely surprise me for sure. So my entire thought process this whole week is that the difference is going to be the 12th man. The fact that they're playing in such a hostile environment, in a night game, in their first game, talking about a brand new quarterback, their O-line issues, all that. I feel like they kind of, like Roy said, they've kind of got the same issues that we have, but we're doing it at home and they're doing it on the road in one of the, according to College Football 25, the hardest place to play in the country. So, so let them. That's what I've thought. I've thought the Kyle Field's going to be the difference, and it's going to be a one-score game, is what I've thought, and I think we win, but. So a blowout would surprise me. I would love to see one on our end.
Right.
But I don't think we're seeing a blowout either way.
Interestingly, I've talked to a couple insiders from Notre Dame who think that the offensive line issues are a little bit overblown. And here's what I think about it. Yes, you can hit on one or two freshmen, maybe. Right, like right away, day one, maybe you get
starting 11, maybe.
Right, maybe Kenyon Green happens, and even he had his, Bryce Foster and Reuben Fothery. They eventually kind of got good that first. Maybe one or two, but like when you have too many ifs, like A&M, I have a lot of ifs. That's why I haven't said they're 10-2. Like there's a lot of ifs that if they happen, I'm going to buy all in. But I got to see those ifs. And that offensive line with 6 combined starts with a guy Knapp, who apparently they love. He was beating Jagashaw. Well, then why was Jagashaw the starting lineman then, right? If he was actually having a better camp than them. But regardless, it's possible they do recruit at a high level. But when you have that many young guys in this environment with a quarterback who's new to the system too, just like, A&M's players are new to the system. Now, the helmet communications, I think, could help in this environment. It may hurt them, though, with how loud it's going to be.
I think it's going to hurt them. Like you were saying, we saw Haynes King deal with it in what was, in theory, or maybe that was AT talking about it. In theory, that was a road environment. It was FSU heavy, but that stadium, you saw how far the fans were away from it. That's the old hurling stadium. I just drove by it, and they had the national championship of hurling, and it looked like an SEC town. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't see the bars because of the people. But it's going to be an issue, and this is where those extra points at home, this is where the 12th man absolutely shines with this new communication system. You can pump in music into practice all day. There's no way to replicate Kyle Field on game day.
Yep.
And especially when you give us all day to eat Dove poppers and get hammered.
We're going to hit a break on that one, Dove poppers. When we come back, I'm going to ask you if you guys have reevaluated the way you look at a season, at fit, at culture, all those kind of storylines that we've heard about the Coach Elko era. Right now, FBS Appliance, their team of experts are here to help your appliances that make your house into a home. They carry all the top brands, and they've been caring for Texas since 1988. They pride themselves on offering a comprehensive solution that sets them apart from the competition. They specialize in providing top-notch sales and installation services for leading brands, ensuring a seamless experience with their customers, right? They offer that expert installation carried out by skilled technicians who are factory trained. They understand the intricacies of installation, ensuring that your appliances are set up correctly to run smoothly. They have 8 showrooms across Texas, and you can find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. That website, factorybuilderstores.com. Go check them out. It is the Fan Show, presented by Prize Picks here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Pick 'em and rip 'em.
Pick 'em and rip 'em. Matthew Dawson, that's one of his specials. Let's talk a little bit about how we evaluate A&M entering a season, because we've done this before on this show with me and with Gabe before. You have all this hype because it's a new season, coach change, or quarterback comes back, or different quarterback. You go from Kellen Mond to Haynes. We had all these reasons for expectations. Have you guys kind of reevaluated the way you look at the start of a season because of some of the battle scars recently? Hunter, start us off.
There are some scars. No, because I've just been through enough of them. I mean, it's tough. The coaching changes, like immediate success is usually tough. Someone had it because of number 2. Wow, but we got a lot of newness, right? So, yeah, new players, new coaches.
New college football.
Yeah.
In general.
But here's why I'm not. I mean, the change or the newness and freak out is because of number 15. We have an elite quarterback. Yes. And everybody's like, well, we haven't seen enough. I've seen enough.
He's elite.
Elite. And you go back and if you keep your starting quarterback healthy and go through the year, that's when we had good years. I mean, I had this whole background. I'm not even going to go through because it's depressing. Other than Johnny's 2 years and then 3 years of Mond, which were good years, right? And then the 20 was really good. We haven't had anybody healthy, so we haven't had successful years. We're just rolling through quarterbacks, through one disaster after another. So,
guys, I've asked this question.
It's been like a QB mash unit around here.
I've asked this question all week. Like, find me a program that survives on their 3rd and 4th string quarterback.
They don't.
Alabama? Can you imagine if Tyler Buckner were starting for them last year? They win 6 games.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a part of me that loved Jimbo. I didn't love his stubbornness, right? But I liked him. There's and I wanted it to work.
Absolutely.
Until I didn't want it to work.
He's an affable guy, but results ultimately
matter.
That's his job, is results.
But 3 years in a row of losing your starting quarterback and your backup quarterback? Can't.
It's uncanny. Well, and I think this almost ties back into kind of what you were talking about. The Notre Dame insiders talking about, they feel good about it. But how many of those do you hit on? Once in a blue moon, your 2nd or 3rd string quarterback can absolutely, you can roll with them, right? You can ride all the way.
Jeff Hostetler.
Nice. That's creepy. You just pulled that out of a hat.
He won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Right. But every once in a while, that'll happen. And obviously the hit rate at quarterback is probably, well, you know what? Between quarterback and left tackle, I bet the hit rate would be about the same if you started pulling 2nd and 3rd strings and plugging them in and playing. I bet you the hit rate would be pretty similar because those 2 positions are the 2 most important positions outside of center on the entire offense. I firmly believe that. It's great to have dynamic playmakers, but if you can't get the ball to them, it doesn't matter, right? So, but the way I evaluated, thanks for the depressing intro, though. You're like, yeah, and this season and that happened, and I was trying to put that all behind me, and
it's right here.
I guess we're just gonna
pull you back in like the Godfather.
I guess we're just gonna day drink on a Thursday.
So I do want to bring this up. I went through my notes from last year's show, the very first show that we did last year, of the football season.
Oh no!
And this was a question I asked you. It was about fit and culture, right? I was asking because that was the big buzzword with the Jimbo era entering the 23 season. Fit and culture. Fit and culture wasn't there.
Yeah, and
it feels there now.
Last year there was a lot of Bobby Petrino talk at this time, if I recall. But no, how do you evaluate the season going into it? This one's different. I mean, we've had especially in our time at this dais here, the overall age, we've all seen quite a few coaching changes from. I mean, I don't really remember much. I mean, I remember going to RC from Jackie, but really paying attention to it after that from like mine and Roy's and your age. Hunter's a little older than us. He might remember that pretty well. But going from RC to Fran and Fran to
39 championship,
Sherman and so on and so forth, right? So every year it's been something different. But this one seems a little different solely from the standpoint of the coverage not bare. Quite a bit of talent.
Yep.
A lot of really good talent. I mean, if you look at the composite, I think we're like the 5th or 6th best, most talented teams in the country. And you're going in with a coordinator that has been here before, somebody who's been here recently and had probably one of the best defenses we've ever had. That 21 defense was, and all of our defenses while he was here was really good.
And he's great in game.
But that 21 defense was, I saw something the other day. They were like, hey, if you had to put, Aggie offense and the best Aggie defense together, what would they be? Everybody said 2012 offense, but a lot of them said the 21 defense over those mid-90s defenses. And so I know. I'm not saying I agreed with it. I'm just telling you what I saw in there.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a coordinator's coming in who proved at another school in a Power 5 conference that he could win a lot of games with far less talent and far less resources and everything else. And the cupboard was bare when he got there. So to come here, so that's why I feel like there's a little more optimism going into this season with a first-year head coach than there would be in some other situations.
Let me add to that. He did more with less, and A&M has done less with more. So now you're 100%. Flipping the script.
We are notorious for that.
Yep. What he did at Duke doesn't get enough credit. I mean, that's Duke, man. Like, he's winning football at Duke, all right? And again, like you said, he came in, he went in there, and the cover wasn't bare. That's the talent that Duke has on a regular basis, year in and year out, right? He was able to recruit a couple of dudes there, got the right staff together, won 9 games at Duke, which we're not talking about basketball. Won 9 games at Duke and was able to bring key parts of his staff with him back here. Like you said, he inherits infinitely more talent than he had at Duke.
Yep.
And then again, you look back and think about flash hires, right? Man, Jimbo was a flash hire. Sumlin was a flash hire at the time, right? Frankie Odie was supposed to be a flash hire, right? We stole him from Bama.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Sherman was the one time we stepped back, and he's the dude that actually built the roster. So when you look at the coaches we've had, the ones that weren't the flash hires are the ones that have built programs here.
Yeah.
Like Sherman, it didn't work out for him, man. But think about the talent he left. He left Johnny. He left an offensive line here. Think about the talent that he built here. And there wasn't a whole lot of hype about Sherman getting hired here. Like, that wasn't an exciting hire. No. It just wasn't. Like, he did it with a Northeast accent. Like, he didn't fit in Texas. And all he did was build a program to an extent.
And he had won a Super Bowl. And we still weren't excited about him coming here.
Yeah, and so I think we kind of see that again. And that's where you see some of the optimism. And we see that kind of guy that's just not a flashy hire.
A lot of times when you have a brand new coach come in, everybody's like, wait till he gets his guys in, right? Wait till he gets his. You don't hear a lot of that. Because there's guys here already.
Right.
There is talent here already that you can win now. We like the idea behind changing coaches. Most of the time, you're like, all right, we're gonna change a coach, and here in a few years, we're gonna be pretty good.
Not only guys here now, guys who have played for Elko are here.
Yes.
Right.
And
so
we're
recruited by Elko.
Yeah. We're not saying, hey, here in a few years we're gonna be good. We're hoping to be good this year, but like all right, really good next year.
But what is good? 9
playoffs, 12-team playoff. That's got to be the goal every year. And if you don't make it, I think from now on, you're Texas A&M. You have more resources, more money, more fan support than almost any school out there.
Little grace this first year, don't you think?
I think a little grace, but I'm still saying I think any season where you're not in where you're not in the top 12 teams in the country with what we have here is a disappointing season.
I think if you're in November and you're not in that discussion of a 20 to 25 teams that are still able to push their way into the top 12 or the team playoff, that's disappointing. So.
Instead of break, we'll get into more of that. Right now, we're talking Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. You can talk to Jackson and Jason all around town. They're all over the place, the Rollo family. They're so good. Morgan's out there as well. And,
Morgan's
Keith.
my guy. He's fantastic.
Morgan's great. He's a fantastic dude. In fact, I owe him lunch at $17.75. But that being said, you need to check out all their offices around Texas. They got 53 in Texas. You've got obviously College Station where their headquarters is on Highway 6, right? But you also have the Houston office, the North Texas office, the East Texas, the Austin and San Antonio office. You've got the West Texas and everything out there. And they'll take care of all of your insurance needs from car to homeowners to farmers to ranch to hobby farmers to business owners, you name it. And their priorities are God, family, and country. The website is rolloinsurance.com. That is rolloinsurance.com. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. This is the fan show presented by Prize Picks. And I'm going to do the read again because I want people to get involved with it. Matthew Dawson is going to explain a game that we're going to be doing here on this segment every week. But go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and use the code TexAgs to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play a $5 lineup. And that's with their largest independently owned DFS, daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We're picking more than or less than, and that's why we go to Matthew Dawson at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Explain the game and how we're going to play it on a weekly basis, and hopefully a bunch of people listening will join and play in as well. We'll even say some of their winnings on the air.
Are we going to keep score throughout the year and see who wins out from the dais?
We should do that.
I'm a fantasy football
guru.
Damn near God, quite frankly.
Okay.
I've won half the years I played in the last decade and a half. Daily fantasy I don't mess with, so this is going to be new for me.
All right, Thanos. All right, so.
Well, I like daily fantasy because, instead of, there's a lot of daily fantasy sports platforms out there where you're competing against, other folks. This is just like you're competing kind of against yourself.
Just straight selection.
This is really cool.
We're going to keep score all year long. At the end, Matthew's going to give the winner a trophy.
But I highly recommend for people to download the app and join and play, and then you share with us your results. We'll talk about it on the air with you. So use the code TexAgs. Go to
plan on winning that trophy.
PrizePicks.com/TexAgs, code TexAgs. Matthew?
So each of y'all has a paper in front of you that, has some numbers,
It's a
some more
lot.
thans, some less thans on particular players. Matt, I'm going to ask you, what do you like? What do you don't like here?
You talking about the whole thing? Yeah, I like it. This looks like this is going to be a lot of fun. It's really neat. You basically he's laid out from top to bottom each player and what's going to be more or less.
Who are your picks, silly?
No, like which one do you like?
Which picks do you like?
I was going to say, I love the color coding.
He's doing a book
I'm a
report.
nerd.
Yes.
I love colors.
Yeah, I was more
He's
so
the guy that does the book report that didn't read the book.
maybe if you need a little more time, maybe I can kind of
Seems like good paper quality.
I'm ready. Okay,
I like the ink.
So the very first one, he's got two on here. He says Conner Weigman, more or less than 227.5 passing yards for this game. Riley Leonard, more or less 196.5 passing yards. So I picked both of those, right? I think Connor's going to go for more. I think he'll probably be in that 280 to 300 range. Ooh. Riley Leonard, I think will probably go for more, just simply because it's a new secondary. So I'm going to say Conner Weigman more, Riley Leonard more.
Daily fantasy thoughts from Matt Browning. I'm going. Can I answer this one?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're in.
Conner Weigman is throwing for less than 227.5. All right. I love them, but I think this defense is like their secondary is elite, and I think we're going to beat them on the ground. So I'm going less than 227, and Riley Leonard less than 196 yards passing because I don't think he can throw on A&M. He's going to be running on A&M more than he's going to be throwing, and hopefully we can stop that.
Bit of a slugfest.
Well, familiar with Riley Leonard because of Elko going to Duke. Actually watched a ton of Duke games the last 2 years. I really, really like Riley Leonard. I mean, just as a football player.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move down, and I'm more familiar with these A&M players on here. Le'Veon Moss, I love the more than 49.5 rushing yards. I think that's a great number. And moving on down, though, there's some quarterbacks, some other quarterback more or less is there. So I'd go Conner Weigman more than 1.5 passing TDs.
Wow, and I'll have you know that that's actually a higher payout. They call that a demon on Prize Picks.
Well,
so it's essentially like
and that's what I'm looking
payout.
at because I enjoy stuff like this, and so the first thing I'm going to look at on this list, the first thing that jumped out was higher payout, lower payout. So I'm jumping on the higher payout stuff because it's
you have to.
You have to, right? You take the shots. I'm the same with you, Le'Veon Moss having more than 49.5. I think Le'Veon may crest 100. I think there's going to be a lot more running. We're really going to lean on the running game. So I like that. And then, going down to the Conner Weigman stuff and the Riley Leonard down there because that really starts to tell you whether it's higher payout, lower payout. I think Riley Leonard has less than 1.5 passing touchdowns. That's a higher payout one, so I'd probably smash all over that one.
An interesting one.
I wish they had a Conner Weigman rushing more or less. That'd be a number I'd like to see.
So they have They actually do have a rushing touchdowns, though. If you want to talk about that, you can take more than. Actually, I don't think you can take less than that because it is a demon play.
Rush plus receiving.
Rush plus receiving touchdowns. You can actually only take the more on that, but it is a higher payout.
We're gonna have a throwback touchdown pass anyways. Ja'Day Walker to Conner Weigman.
To Conner Weigman.
All right, so let's for a moment focus on the wide receivers, and why don't you throw some of these at us, and we'll kind of give you our thoughts here.
Well, on the Texas A&M side, you're looking at Ja'day Walker, more or less than 44.5 receiving yards. Noah Thomas, more or less than 41.5. And then Moose Muhammad, more or less than 33.5. So on the Aggie side, what are we liking here?
I would call more on all three.
Interesting.
Well, Conner Weigman threw for 500 yards in your game.
700. I've just done the math.
Yeah. Interesting though
that adds up, and so
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to
go to the backs and the tight ends.
We got some running back receiver. It's interesting though that Ja'day Walker the number is 44.5, which is more than the Noah Thomas number.
There's a reason for that, I think.
Yeah.
Is their cornerback is ridiculously good, and Benjamin Morrison.
And he's going to be on.
And you would think conventional wisdom would say that he'll probably be on Noah Thomas. Right. That's not for sure. I mean, if maybe they throw in a Terry Bussey angle or they switch it up, right? So I feel better about the Ja'day Walker number because I think he is good for one of those big catches, right? To give you 25 plus and maybe another couple. So I'm going to take the more than on Ja'day Walker. I'm not sure on Noah just yet. I think he has the ability, but in this matchup, I'm a little worried.
See, I'm going the complete opposite direction. Of the three, I think the most sure is Moose of going more than 33.5 because, like you said, that big play stuff, Moose loves to squeak out and get that, that back corner route. Those corners are going to be all over Ja'day and Noah. And Moose has the ability to slide and get behind those coverages, and we've seen him catch a bunch of those touchdowns. In the corner of the end zone, behind where that X or Y was. So his ability to squeak loose, he only needs a catch to get over 33.5.
And Moose always does play better with Conner.
Right. I'm going to go less than on Moose because you don't know if Moose is going to do 2 one-handed catches and he's going to have 70 yards, or you're not going to see him at all. So we don't know.
Well, he better not wear his sleeves.
Let me read this from Blake. Nuño, I feel like if you give A&M-Notre Dame schedule the last 3 years, it would be different. I know their D is elite, but I find it hard to get a full grasp on their competition. And I think that is certainly part of the conversation, especially when some of your games are against USC and whatnot. So let's do really one more. I'm very interested in Mitchell Evans in this game, the tight end from Notre Dame, because I don't know how much he's going to play because he's coming back from an ACL injury, Matthew. But for Notre Dame to be successful, they're going to throw him the ball, right? He's going to be in on third downs. He's going to be on first downs. I don't know if he'll be on some kind of play count or not, but I do think that 28 number is a very good number. I'd probably lean on more than on that one because I think he's going to be a security blanket for Riley Leonard.
Oh, and I think of the two of him on here, I think the other one's probably the more promising, especially since it's a higher payout. Because if he is kind of on a pitch count, so to speak,
on the touchdowns,
they're going to want him in the red zone. So the more or less 0.5 rush receiving touchdowns, I could see him catching one.
Right.
Yeah. So if he's on a pitch count, red zone is where you love your tight ends more than anything, right? And he doesn't have to move a ton down the red zone, just be a big target. So
I'd also take more on the Noah Thomas rush or receiving touchdown. Higher payout, by the way.
Here's an interesting one for me, Matthew, and I'd love your perspective because you played this game a lot. Like, he's the guy we need to be listening to. He's asking us. We should be asking him. Jaden Greathouse. He's going to be their stud. I don't know if he's their wide receiver one right now, but they're going to give him the ball.
I like his more than a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, I've already played that in several lineups that I've had this week. I was surprised. I thought that number was going to creep up a little bit, but here it is, still sitting at 36.5. I really like the more than in that situation. Now, we don't exactly know what that wide receiver room is going to look like because
these numbers will move a little bit throughout the week.
They will move.
They do fluctuate.
But you can get in now.
You can get in now. Oh yeah, with Jaden Greathouse specifically.
So this is as of.
This is as of today. This is as of right now.
Okay.
This is live. These are live numbers.
Can you, and we got to hit a break here, can you explain Taco Tuesday to the folks? Because it's a great day to get value, right?
Yeah, great day to get value. Taco Tuesday, they're going to be sending out picks that are discounted all throughout the day. You just have to make sure you're checking your app, checking the website, check their Twitter. If you follow Prize Picks on their Twitter, they actually post what discounts they're giving out on those Tuesdays, along with the free squares. Like the free square for this week, Jalen Milroe. Do you guys believe he's going to have more than a half of a passing yard?
Yes, I do.
Well, they're offering that free square this week. So if you get in on Prize
Nice.
Picks now using code TexAgs, you can play that Jalen Monroe free square, and then maybe next Tuesday rolls around and you start playing those discounts.
Watch him come down with like a stomach
Watch
bug.
the winnings come in.
Watch them come in. Dawson, great job, buddy. What's the name of the show you're doing?
Pick 'em and rip 'em.
Pick 'em and rip 'em, and that's with who?
Oh, that's with Luke Evangelist.
Why?
I don't know, to be honest.
Great job, buddy. Thank you.
Good job.
All right, that was Matthew Dawson there at the Angry Elephant. I like this game. What do you think?
That's going to be fun.
You know what I like about it? I don't usually do these kind of things, and I'm doing it, and I'm having fun, right? And he's kind of my offensive coordinator.
I'm getting the app during this break right here.
All right.
Yeah.
Use the code TexAgs.
Yeah.
Hook a brother up. All right. We'll hit a break. Right now, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff and a personal touch is back. That is Aggieland Express Car Wash. They've got 2 great locations, the one on William D. Fitch behind Shipley's in South College Station, and the brand new location, 2528 Texas Avenue South in College Station, across from the Planet Fitness. That location has the full service option. I was there on Sunday. Maybe you saw me there. My car looks great until my kids get in the car with all the grass and the leaves and the whatever. But they took great care of me. Full service option. They're going to do it under a covered patio so your car stays cool. It's great. And it's a $40 price, but they're doing it half price if you mention the code TexAgs. Just like we did for Prize Picks, they'll give you $20 off. And right now, we're going to give a free one away. First caller, 979-693-1150. You'll get that full service car wash from the new location at Texas Avenue South. 979-693-1150 is Aggieland Express Car Wash on Texas Avenue. All right, it's time to end the day with Double Days. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Days, serving Aggie Land since 1984. They have your favorite pizza. They have your favorite world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Fan Show guys here with me, presented by Prize Picks. Gentlemen, we just found out at the break that Johnny Manziel is going to be the guest picker there on game day.
Yeah.
Can't talk. I'm on Prize Picks.
Not a total shocker. I mean, he was going to be here for his tailgate shindig and all that, so I think that's great.
I think, and after, Johnny's, it wasn't a 30 for that interview with Shannon Sharp, right? I want to give Johnny some credit because we haven't been here since he had that interview. You got to I am 100% okay, especially with forgiveness for somebody when they say, hey, you know what, I messed up. It's easy to go, okay, you know what? Hey, he's owned it. He owned everything that he's ever done. And you got to respect somebody that's willing to do that. So when you do that and you come out the other side, things like this will happen. I mean, you don't put, they typically don't put knuckleheads on there, right? But I mean, Johnny is. I'm just want to say that interview, I was proud of him for doing it all.
Well, first of all, that scene at game day, since we have Aggie Park, which is just the jewel of campus,
right?
And the way they're set up with that lawn, and then it's going to go into Kyle Field back there, and then Johnny shows up.
Yeah,
that's going to be crazy. They're going to go nuts.
I figured it'd either be Johnny or one of the Dude Perfect guys. So
yeah,
I just can't wait for Johnny Manziel to sit 11 inches from Nick Saban.
That's great. I didn't even think about that.
That is perfect.
All right, we got 3 minutes left. Let's do our thoughts on this game. Well, how's it going to play out? Roy, you start us off.
So I think we're all gonna be super excited for the offense that we see, the motion. I think, and again, don't nobody kill me, the execution. I think we're going to really be excited about it. I think we're going to be thrilled to watch our defense. I think Kyle Field is going to be absolutely rocking. I think the 12th man, it's always a factor. It is an absolute X factor in this game because of the helmet comms, because of Riley Leonard being in a new system. We're not going to get the heat wave we were hoping for, right, to melt all the Notre Dame players, right? But that's fine. That means everybody will be okay in the stands. Yep. I think it'll be a little bit of a slow start, minus maybe an accidental flash in special teams return, which I think we have the capability for. I think it'll be a grinded out first half. I think we go into the half up. I think we come out the second half, we grind them down, and we win. I think we win by about 10 points.
I'm agreeing with that. I think this is a second half is when the momentum will really get on the Aggie side. And I think we win because number 15, Conner Weigman is a great quarterback. And so that's what I think I see. And fun weekend, just real quick. All the big games are SEC, right? Georgia, Clemson, LSU, USC, Florida, Miami, and A&M-Notre Dame.
Yep.
The SEC.
That's it.
Real quick bold prediction, we go north of 200 rushing. Easy.
Really?
Whoa.
Easy.
Right. Wow.
We're not going to be able to throw.
So again, hey, this all boils down to the 12th man. I really do think that this being a home game, especially being a first game for both teams, I think the one playing in the tougher environment, is going to be it has such a big disadvantage. I think this all boils down to the 12th man. So show up, be loud, do what you do. It's going to be an absolutely crazy, awesome weekend here in Aggieland.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate you guys.
Awesome. This place is amazing.
By the way, Brazos Running Company, they're located at Century Square. Aggie owned and operated a specialty running store with an outstanding selection of running gear, shoes. They've got all the top brands. They got Brooks, they got On, they got Hoka, they New Balance, you name it. If you're a runner, a walker, or interested in fitness at all, the right shoe makes all the difference, and Brazos Running Company is passionate about running and finding the right shoes for you. Birkenstock, they got it. Vuori Clothing, they got it. It is the Brazos Running Company located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. Tomorrow on the program, it's the Friday before the game. We've got David Pollack on the program. Thank you to Nick Savage for booking that one. David Pollack at 9 o'clock. Billy Lavernius Lucci will be with us in studio. And the McKinney brothers. How about that? So it's been a while since we've had the final countdown. It is great.
With Steve McKinney.
Chance McClain's one of his bangers.
Yep.
Played poker with Seth this weekend. So
what a nice guy.
He is nice.
He's the best. All right, guys. That's going to do it. We'll see you mañana.